Oh, are we? My bad. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, whoa, hey, whoa. How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is April 22nd. We got a good show for you guys today. A lot to discuss. The Kansas City Wide Open just happened. We're going to be having a special guest coming on. Cadence is coming on for the first time, so we get to talk to her. And a couple other things, kind of big storylines that went down. We've got King of the Hill. A lot of you guys like that. That's coming back. Gary, PDJ, and Mike could be fighting for the lives, I think, for this week. We got our pick'em at the end, and then we are finishing it off with some really good listener questions. So shout out to everyone that sent in their listener questions, and shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now watching us live Tuesday night right here on the beautiful YouTube channel. But Yuli, before we go in, shout out to our sponsor of today's episode, Manscaped. Did you know that one man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? In fact, it's the most common form of cancer among men ages 15 to 35. April is National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, which is why I wanted to take a second to talk about men's health issues that are important to me. With men's health and hygiene in mind, Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society on an amazing registered 501c nonprofit organization. Manscaped is putting action behind their words and donating $50,000 to the Testicular Cancer Society to help save lives and promote routine self-checks. Manscaped just dropped a special edition bundle that helps support an amazing cause. The TCS Ball Hero Bundle includes the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra TCS Special Edition and the Special Edition TCS Boxers 2.0. Join the over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and use code TOURLIFE for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. First up in this bundle, we have the Special Edition TCS Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra rocking a brand new purple design in honor of testicular cancer awareness. And trust me, this trimmer is next level. This trimmer is both cordless and waterproof, making a trim a breeze. The trimmer features dual skin-safe blade heads, now accompanied by an updated trimmer blade, and interchangeable foil blade for enhanced performance. And once you're done grooming, you deserve it to feel comfortable. That's where the Special Edition TCS Boxers 2.0 comes in and features a brand new purple camo look. They are designed to be anti-chafing, high-performance boxer briefs that are as stylish as they are functional. But the game changer, the jewel pouch design, a dedicated space crafted to cradle and support with breathable perforated fabric because comfort matters. It even includes a special reminder to check yourself for testicular cancer because looking after the boys means more than just comfort. And here's the best part. By ordering the Manscaped TCS Ball Hero Bundle, you're helping raise awareness for testicular cancer. Every purchase helps spread the life-saving message. But hurry, there's a limited supply, so these special edition products won't last long. Get your bundle while supplies last, and let's help raise awareness for testicular cancer together. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code TOURLIFE at manscaped.com. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn more about how to check yourself or make a donation to TC Society today to save lives. All right. Yuli, how's it going, brother? That was a little bit of a long ad read. We might have to try to trim. I mean, we were talking about trimming. We might have to trim that ad read down a little bit. Jeez. But hey, good cause, and always a shout out to our sponsors over at Manscaped. But Yuli, back. How we feeling, brother?
Feeling good, man. Back home. Just 1 week out on the road, came back, another week back home, and then back on the road, and then another week home. So it's actually been kind of a breeze this first quarter of the season. I guess it's a quarter, right? It's like 5 tournaments in.
Is that a quarter? You think there's it's a little less than a quarter. Because I think there's going to be 20 plus. It depends on how many tournaments. It might be a quarter for you. You might not be playing more than 20 tournaments.
Yeah. I might not be playing 20 tournaments. I mean, on the Pro Tour. I'll play more than 20. But Pro Tour?
20 tournaments.
There's 16 and then 5 or 4 majors, right? Is that right? I don't know. We're getting off topic.
Yeah. I always thought you could play
good at home.
Things are doing good? Nice.
Yeah.
I was able to get out and play a little bit the last couple days. Surprising myself a little bit. Very sore. No. Very sore. Very sore.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna be like,
I'm finding those little muscles that I haven't used in quite some time.
Yeah.
So a little sore there. You don't really get sore if you just like go out and play around, but like if I'm going out and practicing and I'm throwing multiple shots,
Yeah.
a little sore. But
Where you go? Where's your next tournament? What's the goal?
I think Des Moines. Well, I think I have a new goal.
Oh.
And I think I'm going to be releasing a video this week explaining it more. But I think the new goal, because I think this is what it is at the end of the day, right? I had a goal in mind when it came to disc golf. I feel like I achieved that goal, and we've talked about this before. It's not something that I have this dire passion anymore.
Yeah.
To like want to just grind it out, because that's what you have to do. You have to grind it out. But I might be able to set another goal, a smaller goal that like right now I just set, I want to run a 5K in under 25 minutes, right? So right now I'm doing a lot of stuff to be able to achieve that goal. But what can I do for disc golf? And I think we might have just found it out. You guys, you'll listen to the podcast that comes out, Debate Night comes out on Thursday. We talk a little bit about it there. I think I want to try to Monday qualify for USDGC. I think that's the goal.
What if you just qualify at Des Moines?
Well, I mean, sure,
You're
great.
just gonna shatter your dreams.
But I think that might give me something to like work towards of like, okay, this is a date on the calendar. I want to try to be as good as I possibly can be between now and what, October, right?
Mm-hmm.
So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So basically half a year, a little bit less than half a year. I have to try to get as good as I possibly can to try to Monday qualify. And I think that actually excites me. Like that's a goal that actually will motivate me to go out and practice, and also potentially even like film the journey. Okay, guys, these are the steps I'm going to be taking to put myself in the best position to, because I think the dream and really what it boils down to, Yuli, is I think just the lifestyle. I think the lifestyle is not for me right now.
Yeah, no, it's a tough lifestyle, man.
I could see if it was more of like a, let's say it was like football or basketball, where like half your games are home, right? And you're only traveling every so often, and the travel is not that bad. You're going in, you're coming back. But the idea of like being on the road for weeks and months and stuff, like that lifestyle ain't it anymore for me. So I like that. And yeah, that's also a goal. Dunking in 6 months as well. Well, no, by the end of the year. I said by the end of the year, Brad. Give me until the end of the year. So I guess those are my 3 goals right now. And I also want to be back under 10% body fat. So I have a lot of goals. But I'm very goal oriented. Like when I have goals, laser focus, I can like go set them. So there we go. USDGC Monday qualifier. And I might
talk about a spicy goal, because that's like that's intense. Once you get to the date, that's going to be intense.
Yeah. One round, just go out.
1 round, yeah.
And I think we're going to try and see if Hunter and Trevor can also try to do it. And we can all try like be on the same card and film it.
Oh, that would be awesome. We need weekly vertical checks. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm making sure I don't have a stress fracture in my right leg right now. That's what I'm really focusing on. So I'm not doing too much jumping stuff. I'm really just trying to lose weight. I think I'm down to like 247, and I think I was just at 17% body fat. So it's coming off. It's coming out quick. I'm getting stronger, but the jumping I'm a little bit nervous about, because I might have a minor stress fracture in my right leg. So I'm just kind of
from running too much.
Yeah, I went from 0 running to like 30 miles a week, and that was kind of stupid. But what isn't stupid is me deciding who our next guest should be on the podcast, because this is someone that I'm very interested, very curious to talk about, because she has been having one heck of a season so far, coming off of a 2nd place finish this past weekend at the Kansas City Wide Open. Cadence is joining Tour Life for the first time. How are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You're doing good? All right. Well, the first thing is like, I got to tell you, I watched your entire final round, when I found out that you're in high school still, I was shocked because we have seen so many people get into the position that you got where you're on lead card, you've got all the cameras. There was moments there where Holland looked like maybe giving up some strokes to you and you maybe had a chance. And like Holland played incredible. Let's tip our cap to her. She played incredible. But you also played insane that final round. And that's where when I heard that you were at high school, I was like, no way. Because we see so many people that get put in your position that miss short putts or kind of have a hole they collapse on. And it never happened. So like I guess my first question is, have you had sports background where you've been in like big moments like that? Like how do you get into that big spot and just look as cool as a cucumber?
Well, I said this kind of multiple reasons. So I've only played disc golf my whole life. I haven't really played any other sports.
Okay.
So disc golf was kind of the background. But I made a lead card 2 years ago in the final rounds at Idlewild. And I did exactly what you're talking about. I played terrible. I missed short putts. I was like, I already gave up like through 2 holes. I was so nervous. I played awful that round. I think I ended up I got sixth. But I shot like 6 or 7 over. It's not good. Um, but it seems like for the last year, like every time people watch me play, they like call me emotionless, and they were calling me the female Calvin Heimberg, which I don't know if I should be offended by that or not. Because I've tried really hard. I feel like I show emotion, but then everyone says I don't smile and I don't frown, I don't do anything, and I look like I'm being held at gunpoint and doing nothing. So I don't know, because the last people I was talking to, they're like, yeah, you didn't even look nervous. You look perfectly fine. I was like, what? I was super nervous. What are you talking about? Like every like couple seconds, like behind the tee pad, I would be there, I'm like sitting there like trying to breathe, and they're like, oh no, you look perfectly fine.
Well, if disc golf doesn't work out for you, maybe look into poker because you got a good poker face because you had all of us fooled. Did I hear this right too? Did you say that you skipped your senior prom for this tournament?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did. Yes.
What is like going back to school, I'm sure your friends know you play disc golf, but like do people in your school know who you are in the disc golf world, that you're having, a really great season? Like what span of people's knowledge do they have of you with disc golf?
I don't think they really have like much of an understanding at all about disc golf, to be honest. I don't go to in-person school anymore.
Okay.
I had up until this year gone to public school. But I switched my senior year to do online, but in the same district. And I still took a class at my high school actually, so I go there every now and then just to see my friends really. And my like close friends and like some of the people in the outskirts of our friend group are aware I play disc golf. But I don't really think any of them like kind of understands the level I play at. They're not really into it. They don't get it. My counselor is super interested in disc golf. She asks me questions all the time. I think I went to school today to take some tests actually, and she was like, "Oh, your dad sent me some videos of this past week. You did so good." They're gonna make like a page in the yearbook for me, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so was the decision to kind of do more virtual schooling, was that because that you knew you were going to do more touring this year with the scheduling?
Yeah, it started last year. I think the school year started around Ledgestone, and I knew I was going to play basically all the pro tours from Ledgestone on, and I wanted a full tour in 2025. And trying to do my senior year in person and just missing that much school is just impossible. So online seemed like the best option to be able to continue traveling like this.
What does that look like? Do you like are you, so you before you tee off, are you doing school super early, or when you come back home, like is there any time to celebrate, or do you got to get right back in the books?
Well, for like on task students, they're probably doing it every day. But I'm really big in procrastinating. And so like, while I have like 12 hours on the road every week, you would think I'd be doing it then. But oftentimes for some reason I find anything else to do. And then I do it like right before the end of the school year, which is now. So I'm doing all my work basically right now
Oh, yeah.
for the year.
I
Okay.
was
No due dates, so.
We had a project called the Stella Project. It was like a notorious, super extensive. I think it was like over 100 problems in geometry from my geometry teacher in high school, and it was like notorious. Everyone knew, like, when you took this class, she gave it out before on spring break, and it was due at the end of spring break. And everyone's like, you better start it right away. It's going to take you forever. And I'm with you. I wait until the night before. I'm calling everyone up, and it's not a good trait, but I feel like us procrastinators out there, we're strong because we can buckle down.
I get it all done though. Like, I'm not a bad student. I'm a straight A student. Like, I finished all of the. I actually got a message. I hadn't opened my computer in weeks, and I opened it on the way back from Kansas City, and I got a text from one of my teachers that was like, "You're failing the course right now. There's only like 2 weeks left in the semester. You're really gonna need to do some work." And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about me. I'm gonna get it done. I had a 99 last semester. What are you talking about? It's gonna get done. Just I don't think it's gonna get any better the rest of the
pile it
year
all
either."
up at once. What's the schooling future look like? Has that been discussed with the family, or as far as, or you're kind of seeing how this year goes?
Currently, I'm planning to go to Arizona State University online, so do online college,
Okay.
and major in statistics. Um, I don't know. I don't really have like much desire to do anything with it. But I mean, everyone I seem to talk to seems to think that getting a degree is a good idea. Um, and since I can do it online, I guess it kind of fits in with my schedule. So I'm gonna do it.
Probably not the worst idea, just to have a, I
Yeah.
do
Backup
think you,
plan.
yeah, it's a backup plan just in case. You can never be too safe. All right, here was a good question. This is coming from one of our guys, Gary. He wants to know, he says, with the success you had coming out of MCO and the knowledge that the European competitors were going to be gone this week, how did that affect your mentality coming into this tournament? Did you think you had a better chance of winning or taking a top spot?
Yeah, definitely. After seeing how good I've been doing this whole year, I honestly really felt like this is one of the best events I had a chance at winning at. Like you said, because the Europeans are gone and I have been playing so good. I came off an A-tier win right before. Also, after Music City, I went and played a more local A-tier, and I played pretty good there. I was doing like 980 or 990 or so. So I was feeling good coming the weekend, and I really
Nice.
like the course too. So.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the course because I love the course. But I mean, Yuli, I gotta talk about these putting stats. This was insane. I was watching it, and I think it was like by hole 7 or 8. I was like, she hasn't missed a putt yet. And we're not talking about like little tap-ins. I mean, let's not even forget about hole 1 where you just knocked a straddle putt from like 45. But did you know you were like on a heater when it comes to putting? Because you missed 2 putts the entire round. The first putt was on hole 12. It was a C2 putt. You were on your knees. You had a tree
I thought that was going in too.
It looked good, but I mean, it was a tough putt. It wasn't an easy one. And then you hit off the ban on hole 17 from way down the hill in C2 as well. In wet conditions, when a lot of people on your card were struggling with putting, we saw people 3-putt. We saw people miss close putts. Is this one of those attributes that you have where you just feel really confident with your putt?
Yeah, I would say so. It felt like my putt went back to normal in round 2 and 3. I feel pretty comfortable inside the circle and outside too, honestly. I had pretty good putting stats last year. It was my tee to green stats that were so bad and why I was averaging like 25th. And tour, my putting stats were fine. Don't look at the first round though, because I missed like 5 circle 1 putts that round. But
do you see when you look at like the FPO field and now like this season, I think you've had 4 top 10s, which is crazy because I think last season you didn't have a single top 10, which is wild. But do you look at all the top players that you've played with this season? Because you've played with a lot of them. And do you see that being a huge advantage that you have on the putting game? Because a lot of them can throw really well. But when it comes to it, a lot of them really struggle inside the circle with some pressure putts. Is that something that gives you a little confidence knowing that's not something you struggle with? since you just had a great performance when you're in contention?
Sometimes. Honestly, I feel like I see a lot of good circle one or a lot of good putters in FPO now. I mean, playing rounds like Silva, who just makes everything, and Owen, who also just makes everything. It makes me feel like maybe I'm the bad one somehow. Um, but honestly, my confidence is more gone up because I'm getting way more putts.
Yeah.
Like in the first round, I still shot 4 down, but I missed 5 circle 1 putts. So even when I have this off day, like before, if I had an off putting was my thing. So if I had an off putting day, I was gonna shoot a bad round or just an okay one. But now if I have an off putting day, I can still shoot a good round apparently. So because my first one was 1,000 rated.
Yeah,
Did
because
you
you're
put a
just getting
lot of work into like your drives and like angle control or whatever you were struggling at last year? What's the biggest difference between last year and this year, and what did you do to change that?
The biggest difference is probably the distance I've gained. I probably gained about 30 feet or so coming into Florida, which I don't really know exactly what I changed. I was kind of struggling with it during the off season, honestly, like not knowing what to fix, and have been for the past couple years on and off with distance. Um, but I think it was slowing down kind of that helped me. Some of my friends told me that I really need to slow down my form, and that kind of helped. Accuracy has honestly never really been a problem. But I think when I had less distance, the confidence just wasn't there either. And when you're not confident in your shots, then they don't go where you want to go.
Yeah, I think disc golf, people are starting to realize it's more results based versus form based, right? It doesn't. Oh, have you not seen this? These are all your attributes. So this is like your Madden rankings. So this is where you stack up compared to other FPO fields. So you're all 90. The only thing below 90 is accuracy at 88, which is pretty good still. But your overall is 91.
What is accuracy based on?
Just fairway hits, and probably also going to be like circle 1, circle 2. So not too bad. But what I was talking about was wait, what was I saying? I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I got thrown off there for a second. Oh yeah, the bottom, yeah, green and regulations, OB rate, and fairway.
Oh, it says it right there.
Is for the accuracy. I don't remember what I was talking about, but another point I was gonna make is it was the form thing. So there are people where, like, if you watch their form, just a couple people like jumping out to me, like Calvin, for example. If you watch like Calvin's form, it's not what I would say is like textbook, right, Yuli? Like it's not something that
it's very unique for sure.
You wouldn't teach someone to throw like Calvin. However, no one's going in to tell Calvin, hey, you need to change this and this and this, because it works. It works really, really well. You're someone that your form is, like, in my opinion, like textbook. It looks super clean. It also doesn't look forced. And like you were saying too, with the gaining power, I think that's huge, because I guess my question is too, where do you think you stand? You played with Ella, you played with Holland, 2 FPO players that throw pretty far amongst the other FPO field. Where you played a final round with them, where were you standing as far as distance goes? Were they beating you by 15 feet, 30 feet? Like, where were you guys?
I feel like this course is kind of a bad example because there wasn't really any.
There was only a couple big shots, yeah.
I didn't throw my main, like the distance disc I have, a single time this weekend.
Okay.
Like I didn't even try those single distance shot.
Is that more of like a flip up disc, a disc that's going to get a little flip?
Yeah, it's my distance disc is like it's a DD. I don't know exactly what numbers it was. My old one was a -4-1. It's similar. It's a similar flight pattern to that. It might be like a -3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you have played with some of them some rounds, so when you think about like their distance, where you stack up, where does that leave you? Are they getting you, or are you catching up?
I would say that Holland and Ella, I don't think I really come necessarily very close to the power they have. I mean, I could tell that out here even. Ella would pull out a mid range, and I'm holding a fairway or distance driver in my hands, or she's holding an ND5 and I'm holding a fairway. But I mean, I feel like I'm keeping up with maybe above average. Like when I play with Missy, like I can throw as far as Missy can most of the time.
Is this something that
Not
you're going to
every
continue
time.
to try to grow? Like, is that something that you're going to be focusing on being able to throw farther?
Um, Potentially in the off season, I could focus on it. I don't think I'm gonna try to change anything during the year because when I start thinking about it is when I usually mess it up more.
Sure.
Like right now it's working and it feels good, and so I don't want to start trying to add things, take away things. 'Cause I know, like for example, I need to get my left arm down. It's kind of floating everywhere. And I think if I can fix something like that, then I can gain a little bit more distance. But I think at this point I have enough to be competing, and I don't need it necessarily at this moment. But it would be nice to be something to work on.
You just had two really good finishes, MCO and now Kansas City Wide Open. Both tournaments actually didn't have the greatest weather. So do you feel like that's something that is also maybe something that you have an advantage over as well? Like you play well in the wind, you play well in the rain, because it just didn't seem to like affect your putting like it was maybe some of the other people in the rain.
It's weird because like before, I definitely would not have considered myself a good bad weather player. Not necessarily the rain, but definitely the wind. Like the winds really affects me mentally. Like it gets in my head a lot, as it probably does other people, especially when I'm putting. But recently, it seemed that I'm like able to kind of correct for it better, commit to it. I think that's because after Waco, it was so bad that
Mm.
I spent more time practicing putting in the winds. And so then going into the next couple events, it felt much better than it did at Waco. I missed like 15 circle one putts there. Just
I
putting
like
it was
that.
like 45
Yeah, no, it was no joke. Let's quickly, we'll get back to more of the disc golf stuff, but I do want to talk a little bit about one of my biggest pet peeves. Because you actually do one of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm curious
Oh no.
why. I'm curious why you do it, and I want to hear it. So
Okay.
playing with headphones during competitive rounds is on my pet peeves list. So I did notice, I think it was just one earbud. It wasn't both. Yep. So what is that? Are you listening to music? Is that something that help you like calm down or focus? Like what is it?
I don't really know why I do it. It doesn't really make a difference in how I play. I only listen to music when I'm putting.
Oh, wait, you're not even
I
listening
usually
to anything when you're throwing? It's just in your
no,
ear?
I only listen to I only listen to it when I'm putting and only when I remember. I forget most of the time. It's just to have like something that like makes me like I guess hype-ish, so that I feel like I'm gonna make it. So I'm thinking positively, like how Robbie would be. Robbie says positive when you putt. So I guess I was trying to be more positive when I putt, but I don't really listen to it any other time. I guess also maybe because if I'm like lonely, I don't have anything else to do. It's kind
Oh.
of become a habit, honestly. I mean, the last tournament I played, the ATR I played, I didn't use it, so I don't know.
Oh.
It's become habit.
Is it depending on whether or not you have a caddy, someone there to talk to, or is it just kind of
Um,
random?
Not exactly because, like I said, it kind of just sits in my ear. It really never like plays anything. It's just kind of in my ear. I don't
What if
ever know
someone
why.
calls you? Is that ring? Is it ringing? If someone
Oh, well,
calls you?
that would suck.
Wait,
Uh,
like
I
are
don't know
you
if I
on
would have.
airplane mode?
No,
So someone could call you mid.
I guess. Yeah, I guess
Don't tell
so.
your competitors that.
Yeah.
I know no one ever calls me. Who calls people? I don't call people.
Well, I guess
Text, yeah.
I guess you're in that age now. You guys just text. You don't call anyone.
I don't know if I've
That's one
ever
of the
called
questions that I
someone.
actually have is so being, coming out of high school here, a lot of people your age would go on tour and it'd be like kind of a social experiment, right? Like go out, meet a bunch of people, have friends, and then it's like part of the process of like leaving the house, going and seeing new places. And then there's another type of person who is strictly business. No, I'm going out on the tour and I'm going to compete. Where do you meet in there? Are you excited to like go see friends, meet new people, see new places? Or are you all about, no, I want to be the best. I'm just looking to go shred tournaments.
I definitely like meeting new people. I'd prefer to spend time with others, but I wouldn't exactly say that I've like made a lot of friends on tour. But not because I'm like all business, just practice. Don't meet any people. I guess I just haven't like found the kind of people I connect with here.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's because I'm like trying to stay away from people or anything. But yeah, I guess people just say they seem quiet and emotionless around, so maybe that's why. But
well, that's why these podcasts are good. People can get a little bit more of your personality. Because yeah, not everyone's gonna act the same way on the course as off the course, right? So that's why these podcasts are great. Is let loose, be yourself, and then people can decide what they want to decide. All right, my next question. So hole 14. Hole 14, I think, was an absolutely sick hole. It was an L-shaped hole with water right behind the basket. I thought it was a beautiful disc golf hole. I thought it was challenging. I thought it made you have to be very precise on your upshot. I thought too, like you couldn't just chip any. I mean, we saw Missy kind of get a little crazy with her pitch down there and went over the rocks. Now, I think the water should come up to the rocks, to where if you go over the rocks, you're OB.
I didn't realize it didn't at first.
I didn't either. And then when they showed Missy standing on it, I was like, she's standing in water, but then she wasn't. But Jomez, I was watching the Jomez footage, and the commentators on there said that this hole needs to have some changes because it was too difficult. They said it sets up to be an exciting, but then it's par or bogey. My rebuttal to that is how many holes are on the course that are played the same exact way, but it's just birdie or par, right? Like if your complaints on the hole is that it's either par or bogey, then you should be having complaints on all those holes that it's either birdie or par. Like you got to come up with another complaint other than that one, because half the holes are bad then, because half the holes out there were either birdie or par. Obviously you can go down the leaderboard and see people taking big numbers on every hole. But my point is like the top players, right? So what's your take on it? What's your take on that hole? Is it a good hole, a bad hole? I always love hearing from players their idea of course design.
So I don't think it's necessarily a bad hole. Like it's not my favorite hole. I don't love it, especially for how I play. I don't have a forehand, which is kind of the preferred approach shot with power forehand. I guess some people. It's definitely not unbirdieable. I got into the circle in practice, so I don't think it's necessarily too far. But I don't know, something about it's kind of weird for our field. Everybody throws it kind of straight, hydrant out. Nobody's trying to go for that corner or anything. And then it's almost like nobody's trying to go for the green though, except for like Holland and Nella. Like everyone else is just trying to bail it out short and left, pitching up under the basket. Like nobody's running any putts in that hole. I didn't see a single person try to make a putt outside of 25 feet.
So can I give?
It's kind of boring.
Can I give my take on it?
Yeah, can I also add something first though?
Of course.
2 years ago, I played this tournament, and we played the short pad up to the left. And people were trying to throw turnovers like around that corner, and people were going OB long and OB short because we were trying to throw these like touchy turnovers. And so it was bringing the OB into play off the tee, and it rewarded good drives because then you had upshots where you could see the basket, and you still had that super touchy green to like a raised basket. And so I think there was more scoring separation almost.
I don't hate that idea. My idea would be, instead of making the hole easier, because I always hate that idea, because I think there's too many easy holes already. And when you have a challenging hole, instead of just making it easier, let's try to figure out what's actually wrong with it. What I think, because what you're saying is right? You're going to have basically 3 chip shots. And that's what we saw from pretty much mostly everyone. Chip around the corner, chip down, putt, get out, par. So what I would do is move water all the way up to the rocks, right? And then I would do force carry. So anything about 45 feet short of the basket is OB. All the way up to basically like the top of that hill. So now there is no chip down to where now you're like 100 feet. You can't be 100 feet from the basket. So now if you throw a great drive and let's say you get out there and you actually can see the basket and because you threw a great drive, sure, go for it. Why not? But if you do chip around, everyone still has to execute a pretty challenging next shot. And in my opinion, because putting is so easy in disc golf, right? That's the beautiful thing that golf has is putting so hard that even if you get the ball around the green, it's still very challenging. In disc golf, it's not like that. So if you're within 100 feet of the basket, it doesn't really matter where you are. Most of the time, everyone's getting up and down. So I hate par fours that just require one good shot, right? And kind of what you were saying from like the old hole, it just really required one good shot. You throw a great tee shot, you're pretty much your second shot's not going to be that challenging. It really isn't, right? So I always like par fours that are challenging. Like both shots are challenging, and that's how I would do it. I think forced carries are always a good solution to not allow people to just be chuck a shot down anywhere and just be able to jump putt out of the basket, tap in, and get out. What are your thoughts on that? Is that even feasible? Having everyone have to throw from on top of that hill?
Well, I mean, everybody loved Holy Tea at Sprinkle Valley so much, so we should just add force carries to everything now, I guess. If we do that to this hole, it is going to average 5.5 or worse every round. It's going to be by far the hardest hole on our course.
Well,
everyone's going to play it terribly.
Can I also argue a little bit too? Like, I don't love the average. Like, what did this whole average? Because how many people in FPO were? Would you finish? How much under par? 16? 17, something like that. How many people were like 10 over or higher?
The cash line was like plus 15. So
the cash line was plus 15. Okay, so we can all agree that the average is probably not the best way of deciding whether a hole is good or not, because there's just a lot of people in the FPO field that aren't anywhere near the same skill level. Like you don't have a deep enough field for that to make sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
because like the top 30 players in FPO, the average could be like just over par. It could be like 4.2, and you could be like, wow, it's a tough hole. But then if you do the whole field, it's like 5.6, and everyone's like, oh, this hole sucks. So hard. It's like, well, yeah, freaking Jessica Robbins over here shot 12 over on the hole. Obviously, it's playing terrible. Like you, so that's why I kind of hold off on the average a little bit. But I
like that thing on Statmando though. Statmando has one of the hole things for all the holes on tour. That's like a 940 plus, I think, and so it only includes the stats for 940 plus players.
Oh,
so
I like that.
And you can see each hole, but only basically the cash line higher. I guess 940 is usually or 950 is usually cash line.
I like that.
Basically, only those top players are being shown in it. So
yeah. I think that's a better way of doing it, just because the field isn't as deep yet. All right. The final question I have is, you mentioned in an interview that going on tour fully is tough as a young woman, and you're looking at attending college online. How do you approach thinking about the next 5 years for your game? Are you concerned about being able to financially support yourself as a player, or is that something you're not thinking too hard about right now?
I am a little bit concerned about it, because I'm gonna have to pay for college fully out of pocket, because there wasn't any scholarships available for online, weirdly enough. But I think it could be okay. My grandparents told me they're gonna help me with college, and I have a family who supports what I'm doing, and who I think would help, even if it means that maybe I can't necessarily go to Europe every year. I still think I'll be okay and be able to tour full time, especially if I keep playing decent. I mean, if I'm playing like a top 10 player, usually you're making at least a little bit to keep you on the road.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of times people at home might not realize how tough it is. Even like you said, being a top 10 player, it's not all of a sudden like, hey, let me go buy a house. Let me go buy a new car. The money really is off the course, right? Getting those big sponsorships and stuff. But yeah, I mean, hopefully disc golf continues to grow. More people continue to watch. because like a player like you, I don't think I wouldn't want you to have to like land a big sponsorship, excuse me, to like be able to still tour. You know, like I don't know, Yuli, what are your thoughts on that? It's tough, man. Oh, you might be muted.
It's hit and miss with an individual. I think it's more of an individual thing. Like some people are super comfortable with just like going out there and having, you know, $200 to their name, spot to spot, you know, just kind of scraping by because they love it. But then there's other people who, you know, have life goals of like, oh, I want a family someday and I want to have nice things and all those things. And it's hard to balance those out. But my advice to anybody who is, let's say, similar to her position is definitely don't give up on it, because you never know when the big sponsorship's going to happen, when the world championships is coming around, and maybe all of a sudden, you know, back-to-back world championships can change a person's life. And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, well, I didn't really plan on using my scholarship, and you probably won't have to at that point for a while. But it's all hard work, and my best advice is definitely be goal oriented and try to meet those marks along the road, and then save as much money as you can. Learn about finances as best as you can, because in sports, money comes in quick and then sometimes it stops. But it seems like you play with a lot of passion and that you love the sport. You've been doing it your whole life, and so it's just kind of a part of it. I'd say just go all in and try to get yourself as many titles as you can.
This offseason, get in that gym too. Get in that gym, because honestly, I think if you just gain a little more distance, I like the way you play. I think you have. I think like watching you play, like I think you got all the potential in the world.
And you think the gym would help gain distance?
Do I think getting in the gym will help you gain distance?
You said get in the gym. I honestly, like, I don't really know how to gain more distance.
Oh yeah, I mean just getting stronger, obviously, like will definitely help. Just being able to be more powerful. The other thing too is you see a lot of people with injuries too, right? That I think that's a big one, is making sure that you're protecting your tendons, your necessary body parts that you don't want to get injured, warming up properly, all that stuff, right? Because you know you don't want to burn out too and like go super hard and then all of a sudden get injured. But I just think watching you play, I'm rooting for you, because I really do like the style of play that you have. I actually don't mind. Like I didn't notice. Like man, she's like you're saying the motionless thing. Like to me, I think that also comes with the confidence. Like if you go out there and start nailing big putts and start winning, and people are going nuts for you and have, you know, big heads of you in the crowd going crazy and stuff. Like I think that's also going to build the confidence in you to maybe show a little bit more emotion out there if it's natural. But I enjoy watching you play, and I want to watch you play more. And we're dying for more people to be at that top level in the FPO field. Like we don't want like that. Watching you and Holland play, it wasn't like the winner was whoever didn't mess up. Holland played incredible. You played incredible, you know, and I'm sure you're probably thinking in your head of strokes that, you know, the putts that you missed on day one inside the circle. Probably that's what caught you to the tournament, because Holland really didn't give that many strokes up. I like watching that disc golf, where sometimes in FPO what we see, it's like whoever doesn't mess up the most. Like people are going to mess up. It's whoever doesn't mess up the most wins. And I think the style of disc golf that you and Holland were showing that final round, like that was entertaining. That was good disc golf. And that's why I'm just rooting for you more, because I think you're someone that could be up in that top echelon of elite players. Heck, you're freaking young. You're just a high schooler. We saw Gannon Buhr do it not that many years ago, and look where he is now. So I'm with Yuli. I think you got to go all in, get after it, and see what the heck happens.
Your game looks like it's doesn't have a lot of flaws. Like it doesn't
No.
look forced. It looks really like kind of dressed up real nice. Like just really consistent.
It's polished.
I don't it's very
polished.
polished. Exactly. It doesn't look like you're just a high schooler. It looks like you're polished. And so with the things that he's saying, I mean, I would say keep doing what you're doing. Don't change anything. You're gonna keep getting good, better and better and better, and you're gonna see what you have to do the more times you get yourself in position like this weekend to winning. I mean,
I think that's the scariest thing.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like you need to improve a lot of things. It's just a couple, even a couple good breaks go your way. All of a sudden, you're in the winner's circle. But no, I don't see a lot of flaws in your game. So I would just keep doing what you're doing, and the FBO feel better. Watch out.
The other thing too is it doesn't seem like you're like a risk to sponsorships either, which is probably a good thing. There's some people out there that are a little risky to sponsor because you don't know what they might post on social media. So I talking to you seem like a very lovely lady, and so or should I say young woman? I don't know what you guys kids are saying to each other now, but you don't seem like a risk, which is a nice thing. I think a lot of sponsorship people that are handing out money for sponsorships, they're like, I don't know if I want to give money to this person because I don't know what they're going to post on their Instagram. But is there anything we missed? Anything you want to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about?
Not off the top of my head, no.
We nailed everything. Is there any sponsors that you have currently that you want to maybe shout out?
Yeah, I'll shout out my sponsors. Shout out to Dismania, Brodie Bags, Monkey Grip Dyes, and Discraft for sponsoring me.
And is there anywhere where people can buy discs that you have currently? Anything like that? Anything you have currently out for sale? People can, any ways people can support you? Maybe Instagram.
Right now, the best way I think is to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is just my name, which is at Cadence Burge. I have discs for sale that you can buy directly through me by messaging me. I don't have anything on websites that I buy.
All right, you heard it. Hit her up in the DMs.
We need to change that.
Hit her up in the DMs. Yeah,
I'm getting a tour series this year, but not yet.
Okay.
At some point.
You heard one of my pet peeves. Now it's time to turn the tables. Do you have any pet peeves? Anything that gets under your skin, you can't stand?
I'm really easily annoyed, so I feel like I have a lot.
Yes. Excellent.
I was thinking about it earlier because I was told I was going to be asked this. Now I have to remember again. So one of the things I was thinking of is when you are like putting when you're inside of 30 feet and you miss and someone's like, oh great, good run, and you just like miss circle one putt. It's like why are you telling me? Like there's a few exceptions obviously, but like I don't want to be told good run when I miss. Basically, like I'm already upset that I missed the putt. I don't want to.
I initially thought when I came into disc golf and people were doing that to me, I initially thought like they were like trying to trash talk me. Like that was my thought process. They were trying to like get in my head and be like, hey, nice putt. And then I found out like, no, they were actually telling me nice putt. And I was like, what?
I had a new one this weekend where I missed a putt. And then my caddy, I'm walking off the green. He goes, what happened? And I'm like, what happened? What do you mean I missed? I don't need to go into detail while I pulled the putt off the basket, man. That was a good one.
I think kind of along those lines. Also, something that involves like inside the circle putts is people that like will make a 30-footer and then get like super hype and run it in. I don't know why. Like people that get super like honestly just in general, not even just circle one putt, just on shots like. And not like when you're about to win. Like when you're about to win, sure. Like
certain moments, maybe.
Yeah, there's moments. Yeah, you can have your moments, but like just in the middle of the rounds, you're on like fourth card and they're getting like super, or you're just in casual rounds, they're getting super excited. Like, what are you excited for? You need to calm down.
You might need some context though, because some of us out there, we might be, we haven't made a single putt all tournament, unlike you not missing, and this was the first putt we made, so we need
You're gonna run it a 25-footer. You're gonna run in the 25-footer.
I'm not a runner. I'm not a runner. I'm not a runner. I'm just saying
just running after it like this.
There might be some people out there that have small victories that they're just keeping them alive, keeping them going.
They need to keep the victories to themselves.
All right, you got the final question.
So out of everybody that you play with, whose game do you look at, or a specific part about their game do you look at and you go, oh man, that's nice. I like that.
What specific parts of their game? It's kind of hard not to say. I have two answers. One of them's kind of hard not to say, which is Kristen's mental game. I mean, she has by far the best mental game in FPL, which I think is kind of what sets her above everybody else. So that would be something that would definitely be good to have. And also, I have absolutely no forehands. So when I see people with like Ella's forehands and Kristen's forehands, that kind of also is something that I look at and really wish that I had.
Well, maybe that's a thing that's in the off season. Get that forehand. Missy seems to have worked on her forehand quite a bit.
I was gonna say Missy kind of has like a sneaky good forehand. She never throws it off a tee, but I played with her for 2 of the rounds, and she would pull it out like in these like off the fairway spots and throw like crazy forehand to get up and down. So hers was actually kind of impressive, honestly.
I think that's all you really need, though. We've seen people like Isaac and Ezra and guys like that on the MPO side too. Like they're throwing backhand 90+% of the time off the tee, but having those little scramble shots, it's definitely beneficial. So, but hey, we'll let you go. I don't know if you got more work to do or you're going to procrastinate some more homework, but we'll let you go. Big thanks for coming on. Congratulations on a great start. Keep going. We'll be watching, and I think you gained a lot of fans tonight. Whether you show emotion or not on the course, do you? That's all I care about at the end of the day. But we'll be looking forward to watching you in the future here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Have a great night. There you have it. 4 top 10s, Yuli, this year.
Out of nowhere.
Not having a single top 10 last year and having 4 already in the 5 events she's played this season.
See, now that's something we don't see.
No.
You don't see that.
You see like the one-off and you're like, oh my gosh, is this person going to be the next competitor? And then like you don't see them on the leaderboard ever again.
100%. And like I said, she's got a game that like looks super buttoned up. It looks like she's been doing it forever, playing at that level forever, which I don't see. I mean, the first time I saw her play was actually at MCO, and I'm watching coverage, and Ricky looked at me and he goes, man, her form's really good. She doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like that's what form's supposed to look like. That's what he told me. And I'm like, so then I started watching a little closer, and I was like, every shot she threw was like perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, how have I not heard of her?
I think my comp for her is a little bit more explosive, right-handed Heather Young.
Yeah.
That's kind of my comp. A little bit more explosive, though. But a great putter, just always seems to be in control. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament, the course. I want to shout out the course before we actually go into MPO recap, FPO recap. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to this course because, man, Yuli, we better be going back here because I thought this course was great. I
told you last week.
You weren't wrong. I was watching it and I was like, there's so many. Whenever there's a disc golf course where more holes I like than don't like, that's a good disc golf course.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of them that are like, that's okay. Yeah, there's one good hole. There's 2 good holes. This one, it seemed like every other hole, I was like, that's a good hole.
Really good holes.
That's a good hole. Board. So shout out to everyone at Bad Rock Creek. Hopefully we definitely come back out here. I mean, I know the weather was terrible and people were still showing up, which is awesome. So shout out to everyone that came out to support and watch. But I want to walk through some of these holes because I love course design. I love talking about it. And some of these holes like literally hit the nail on the head of what we've been talking about. And I think some might be a little bit better for FPO, some might be a little bit better for MPO, but we'll kind of just talk about hole 1. Now, do I think this should probably be hole 1? Maybe not. I think this would be an incredible like hole 17, hole 16, where if you really do need to like try to make up some you could potentially go for the green and try to get an eagle. I do think, what are your thoughts? I think MPO needed a little bit more distance off the tee. I wasn't a huge...
I think it's a perfect distance. It either needs to be a little bit shorter or it's good. And the reason why is it's kind of a chip shot. There's no real landing zone to the left. What I'd like to see is the green. There needs to be OB on the left. So there needs to be a short landing zone and then a long landing zone. That's probably pin high with the green. So if you're landing short past like the first bubble, you're out of bounds.
Because from looking at it from coverage, correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like MPO was landing left of the water, like pushed up, where FPO, no one was going left. Everyone was going short of the water and then having to make the decision of having, like, they had to go over the water. There was none of this Gannon Buhr like throwing down the left side fairway.
Right. And that's what I didn't like. That's a bad shot. You shouldn't be rewarded with getting up there for a look.
But wouldn't that be solved if it was a longer shot? So you couldn't get into that landing? You would have to land short of the water,
so far.
like FPO?
Think about how far these guys throw.
Oh, I guess it would.
Like these guys.
So maybe just make that all OB over there.
Yeah, like I think there should be a strip inside the tree line that's in bounds.
I don't hate that.
And then it's like, oh, if I bail out, I'm going, and you land into the trees or just outside of the tree line, you're out of bounds. And then that bows out to a pretty nice landing zone to the first one that can be smaller too.
Yeah.
And then you either have to because I think having the big distance, you should be rewarded with making that shot. If you can carry it that far with even a little bit of accuracy, you should be rewarded with a shorter upshot, or you have to place it to the left and then throw it
over the water.
Yeah, that's what I think. I just think that I hate seeing people rip as far as they can
and not care
with no consequence.
Yeah, that's
like if it flips over, oh sweet, I'm parked, or not parked, but I clear. But if I don't, I'm missing by sometimes 200 feet to where I was trying to go. That should never be rewarded.
And to me too, I think the hole ruins its purpose, the way it was designed to play, if you go left of the basket. 100%. Because the way that green is designed is so good, of where it's like, hey, you want to inside of the circle putt, you got to hang this thing out over the water.
Mm-hmm.
And the green slopes away from that too, so that even if you say, like, let's say you go like 20 feet left of the basket, that's where you land. That thing's not going to end 20 feet left of the basket, right? Because it's down the slope. It's going to be maybe 40 feet. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful hole. Absolutely loved it. I just would love to see more of the guys have to throw over the water in their second shot.
So if you watch or if you just look at the hole, I mean, it's shaped perfectly to just have that tree line out of bounds all the way around the whole entire basket.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, I mean, you make the hole significantly better, in my opinion. The people who actually have the distance and accuracy should be rewarded. And then if not, then you'll see more people placing it down below. I mean, the final round, you saw everybody just throw it as hard as they can. And they went crazy left, and they didn't get punished for it. They got pars. Gannon actually got rewarded with a birdie putt, and he ended up taking the bogey.
Sure.
But I mean, 9 times out of 10, he's knocking that down.
You're just, to me, we got to get rid of holes where you're not worrying about bogeying. The only way you can bogey that hole with those guys, how they played it, is literally to do what Gannon did, which is ricochet it off the basket and have it go OB for a putt. Another green complex that I loved, hole 4, the par 5, where it was an elevated basket on an elevated part of land.
Yeah.
Was it par 4 for you guys and par 5 for the women?
Yep.
Okay. I just loved I love that way. It punishes non-accurate shots.
Yeah.
And also it makes it to where if you have a 30-footer left of that basket looking down on an elevated basket,
Scary.
I love
Saw a guy airball one all the way into the trees.
I love it.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's normal and if there's a hill behind the basket right there, he doesn't airball it.
No. Hole 5, I think it's hole 14 at Northwood Black, I believe, reminds me a lot of that. I personally like the FPO hole more than the MPO hole, where they had that water that they had, because I think FPO had to go to the right for their upshot. You guys had to go to the left.
Yeah.
But again, what we're seeing is a lot of L-shaped fairways out there, Yuli. And we've been talking about it, of where not only do you have to be precise left and right, but out there you had to be precise on your distance. If you're too far, you're going through the fairway. If you're too short, you're pinched. So I love that. Hole 9 was like a cool, like double vertical Mando. I thought that was kind of cool with the trees on top and then the stone wall in the front.
Yeah, it's a really good hole.
Kind of forced you to have like a little double Mando.
Of course, but still good.
Yeah, they got to figure out like those holes. Those are the ones where you got to figure out like, how do you get a bogey on that hole?
Like the rock wall before that should just be out of bounds, I think.
Right? Like something to where that would also put a lot more pressure on that tee shot, knowing that. I thought hole 15 was sick, but that was one that I thought also needed some forced carry. I think too, that was another one too that definitely could use different Mandos. So a lot of you guys, I think, were like the birdie play was throwing like a turnover backhand over the water and having it turn into the green. But there was that fairway down the right-hand side. So you could potentially set up like a different tee pad, and maybe you'd have to cut some trees out, but you could I think this was 15. The par 3 with the water short left. Right.
Yeah.
And there was like it looked like there was a fairway down the right.
There is, yeah, kind of.
Like they could maybe trim that up and set, like that would be a perfect experiment of like one day you have like the Mando left of a tree. And so you have to go over the water. And then another day you have a Mando right, and maybe trim that up to where maybe it's like a skip shot. You got to throw it down the right-hand side and like try to skip it over. Just again, thoughts of like trying to make these holes different so you're not playing the same shot every single day. Hole 17, another L-shaped hole. I love it. And even hole 18 was kind of an L-shaped hole too. It's kind of like a
hole 18 is a really great hole. 17 not good, honestly.
Too many trees.
It's just it's like you could throw two almost exact shots and have two completely different outcomes.
Okay, maybe I just
into the green.
Like
there's
I just
a lot.
Like the L shape. I like the L shape.
Yeah. It was pretty. I don't mind it. I'm a scrambler. Like I don't mind it at all. I think I took 2 birdies and a par. And I watch a lot of people have trouble, but anytime my play is sidearm roller off the tee, probably not the greatest hole.
Yeah.
But like hole 6, 7, I think it's hole 7, great hole. I really like that hole. I think it needs to lose 1 tree, and it's one of the better ones that we play. Low ceiling off of the tee, up the hill. You got to play it a little deep to have like the shot into the green.
Okay.
And then it goes down the hill and up to the left a little bit. Fantastic hole. I mean, just really good.
Yeah. I try not to be too critical on courses that I don't play, because it's hard for me to really, watching on coverage, it's hard for me to know how big certain gaps are, if there actually are gaps. So that makes sense. Maybe on 17, they maybe need to take out some trees. So it isn't so much just chuck a shot.
But the thing is, once they take out some trees, it's really kind of an easy shot.
Is that where you need to make Mandos, of where you can't get lucky?
It doesn't do you anything because there's too many trees. Like kind of the challenge is the tee shot hitting the gap. But then that's what I'm saying. You make this great shot by hitting the gap off the tee, and then I didn't see a lot of people really get rewarded from it. You get what I mean? Like you're landing a little bit too far, a little bit too short. The landing zone's like the size of a hula.
Landing zone's too tough to get to perfect.
Especially because it's downhill a little bit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And the angle that you're throwing at really doesn't do anything. Like that's one of the holes where I think if you just move the bucket up a little bit to the left, it's better. But then people who throw terrible shots can still get up and down.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those. It's just a woodsy.
It's like a tweener.
Holes. Yeah.
Well, let's go over a little bit MPO action here. Some of the big storylines. I think the big one right off the rip, Gannon Buhr. I mean, we got to start with the champion. He's won this tournament 3 times in a row now. He started the tournament with an absolute insane round, probably the best round we've seen so far this year, and quite frankly, might be one of his best rounds he's ever played. Clearing the field, Yuli, by 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story right there. I don't remember the last time somebody had such a good round. They cleared it by 6. I think Paul did it last year. Where was it? He had a crazy round out of nowhere. He had a really bad round, and then all of a sudden he cleared the field by 5 or 6, I think. Or
Well, I know like Champions Cup that one year he shot almost perfect. And so I don't know how
no,
much.
this was last year. What was it? Let's try to get Edwin to pop that one up. I
Yeah,
think it was
maybe
at the end of
Edwin or
last year.
Gary.
That's the last time that I saw somebody really like push up the leaderboard. It might have been USDGC. He had a bad first round or something. I don't know. But
we do see that sometimes from like
Worlds, maybe. I'm not sure.
People from like the back of the pack and they have a great round and jump up. This was a little bit more shocking because it's the first
leading
round.
The tournament. Yeah, exactly. And here's how tough this course is. When we did our triples round on Jomez, and it was Austin and Calvin and I, and we set the bar at 13. And mind you, it was a little bit more tricky. It was high winds, but we set the bar at 13 in triples. And then he comes out with a 14 under. That kind of shows you like this is an all-time round.
Crazy. Let's talk a little bit about, there is some people talking about, what would have happened if they would have played the back 9. I kind of just want to squash those from my side of things. Firstly, I think Gannon will be the first one to tell you that he would have rather played 18 that final day and not have 9 holes. I'm sure he's happy with the win, but I know he probably, being a competitor that he is, he would love to have played all 18 holes. Also, he was 4 under through the last 5 holes. He was playing incredible. Like, he started off a little shaky. That first hole was kind of a fluke to bogey that hole. All of them parred. He probably should have parred as well. And then he did throw one really bad shot, I believe, on hole 3 that cost him. I think he doubled that hole. But outside of that, he was playing really good. He played the back 9 fine in the tournament, so it wasn't like he struggled on the back 9 in previous days. He also had a 4-shot lead over Ricky and a 6-shot lead over Paul with 9 to play. Yuli, people are trying to make it a story talking about, what would have happened if they would play. He would have won. That's what would have happened. He still would have won.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think he wins the tournament either way, but I will say this. I didn't see a lot of pressure being applied ever in all the rounds that I commentated on. Anytime, and he left the door open for somebody to also do an all-timer round. And you typically see that when these great players are trying to track somebody down. He shoots 9 under. That's the hot round. But in those rounds, there were moments where he was parring, everybody else was parring. And there's multiple guys on the card that were all really close. And so even the final round, hole 1, they all par.
Mm-hmm.
Hole 2, he makes the nice par save. He kind of gets lucky to be in position to even have a stroke there to be able to get up there. And then hole 2, that's when did you see when Ricky and Paul make those shots? Especially Ricky makes the putt up the hill. They're sensing like weakness right there, right? He finally makes a mistake. Ricky fist pumps. Here's my point. The next hole, he misses the putt up the hill. That's another 2-stroke swing. They both par. Like, as a card, you need to collectively apply pressure over and over again, whether it's one guy or 2 guys. That's why winning is hard, is because you're not only playing against number 2 guy, you're playing against 3 and 4 and the second card and the third card. And with great players always applying pressure, typically there's always somebody playing really well. I didn't see that in this tournament. It was like hole after hole after hole, he would miss, everybody would miss, if that makes sense. I didn't see a lot of pressure being applied.
The feeling I got after like hole 4, because we saw Paul lay up, which I thought was a little bit surprising.
Right.
It felt like Paul and Ricky were kind of playing against each other and had decided that, because if Ricky, I would agree with you, if Ricky would have started birdie, which he could have, but
that's one of them, just one of them. Those holes are probably among the easier ones on the course.
Then all of a sudden, like the gap is really tight, and there's 6 holes to play. Who knows?
It's one shot,
and who knows, right? At that point, but I feel like because they weren't able to close the gap quick enough, that they started playing match play. It was like Ricky versus Paul.
See, but they still had a chance. And Paul laying up that putt, I think he was planning on him like hopefully missing and 3-putting or something, being up the hill. I don't know. He made the putt earlier in the second round from the wood line.
Yeah, it just seemed like at a certain point they basically decided we're not going to have enough holes.
Yeah, it was after that hole.
Yeah, there's not enough holes. It's done.
Yeah,
right. Like Gannon, he's not going to bogey hole 9. He's not going to boat. You start doing the math, and you're like, there's just not enough holes. So it did seem like that kind of also helped him in the sense of where, like you said, there wasn't really added pressure applied to him. It was more them two playing against each other for second at that point. Now I will say this: he had I believe it was a 7-shot lead.
Yeah, going in the final round.
Going into the final round, and normally in tournaments, you always say this, right? You always say, "Hey, it's day 1. You can't win the tournament on day 1, but you can certainly lose it." I think this is one of the rare occasions that we can actually say, no, Gannon Buhr won the tournament on day 1 in this tournament.
For sure.
He won the tournament.
He cleared the field by 6 and then shot the hot round the next round. I think you can win the tournament on the second round. I don't think you can ever win the tournament on the first round. I mean,
he did play a good second round too to pretty much nail it in, but that first round, just 6 shots, it was just too much. It was too much for anyone to claw back.
Yeah,
they couldn't do it. We'll maybe go back and talk about some other people in the MPO field, but I do want to talk a little bit about FPO. Holland, I think now has cemented herself as the number 2 player in the world
for sure.
And I think it's still Kristen. I think there's a little bit of a gap, Holland, and I think there's another gap with everyone else. I think watching her play, it seems like there was a couple putts in there that seemed a little shaky, but it definitely seems like she's more confident being in this position now. And consistency wise, outside of Kristen, there's no one better than Holland.
Yeah,
this year.
And she's the one person that I look at and I go, wow, she could really improve. Like Holland could really improve. Holland's going to keep getting better and better and better. When I watch other people play in the FPO, I think, okay, yeah, you can polish it out. You can get a little better here and there. Holland, she has shots that I watch where she just like her sidearm completely rolls it over, looks a little bit shaky. Some of her up shots, backhand, some of her even power shots, and her putting. And I think she can improve across the board. So what you got to look at is, how does she score? She scores fantastic. She knows how to score. It's a scoring game. She can get it done. Mm-hmm. Plus, she has an opportunity to improve. She's the one person that I look at the game and I go, she's going to keep getting better and better and better. Everybody else, they can fix little things there, get more consistent, but you know what you get. With Missy, you know you're going to get fairways, you're going to get a lot of upshots, you're going to get some really, really nice putting down the stretch, and she has a winner's mentality. Got it. When she's on fire, that's what I got to deal with. When Holland's up there, you don't know what you're going to get. If you're going to get solid play across the board, or she can have these superstar rounds to where she can legitimately blow the field away.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, because obviously when you look at, the FPO field, there's definitely people that you can pick and say, oh, they need to get better at that. They need to get better at this. And I think the thing that sets her apart from a lot of the other players is like I don't think it's going to be difficult for her. I think other players, it would be very challenging for them to get better. Like, I think they would have to do a lot of work to get better. With her, I don't think she has to do a whole lot. Like, she doesn't have to change a whole lot
Just
to
keep
get a lot
playing,
better.
and
She can
it's gonna get better.
yeah, small little adjustments here and there, and she's going to see huge improvements. Because you're right. The one thing that always steps out to me outside of the nervy putts that we see occasionally is that forehand. That forehand has a chance. We saw it on the back nine on that par 5. She just threw that fluffy forehand. Luckily, there was an OB right. But I mean, she missed her landing zone on what should have been like a stock kind of forehand hyzer by like 100 feet right, like way off. And to me, it's those mistakes, those big misses that you will occasionally see from her. It's getting those dialed in, because you don't see Kristen do that. That's the one thing.
Right.
You don't.
Well, she's polished. Like I said, you watch Kristen's game, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get good across the board. She doesn't have a lot of weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
But when I watch Holland, I think all of it can improve. All of it.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch Kristen, it's like, what is she going to improve? It all looks great. She doesn't, her angles are good, maybe get a little more distance, but like you said, that's hard to do.
That is.
With Holland, it doesn't look like that'd be tough. It's like smooth out a couple of maybe her like run up or something, and all of a sudden it's going to look better.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. I think, and she's also someone that has shown crazy improvements in the offseason year after year. And I think we're going to see another big jump from her this next offseason, which I think will be great for the FPO game. I think it
Eventually she'll be the best player in the world.
Hasn't missed the top 3 all season.
Yep.
Hasn't missed the top 3. So shout out to Holland. Another great win for her in the books. Was there anyone else you wanted to kind of talk through the leaderboard? I think those were like the big storylines. Obviously, we talked to Cadence already. Was there any other players there? Mike, you got anything players-wise that you want to shout out or talk about? Nothing really stood out to me. I mean, some people had good finishes. I mean, shout out to Ezra. I think Ezra played well first 2 days, getting into that final grouping.
You're talking about the whole tournament.
Yeah, just the tournament in general, like any other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring this up again. Niklas leaves.
Oh, boy.
Gannon wins by 14 shots.
Okay.
Niklas has to come back and play him at the first major of the year, with Gannon winning his first tournament of the year in absolutely dominating fashion. Don't think it was a good idea. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We'll see. We'll see what happens over at Champions Cup in 2 weeks. But yeah, Gannon's
putt looked better.
Gannon, yeah, he was putting really well.
It looked better.
He did get his first win of the year. We knew it was going to come. But yeah, quick with Ezra. That is one of the things that could happen out there on that course is you miss a couple shots, you hit a couple trees, things go badly. I mean, he made some crazy putts though. He had 2 putts.
He could have shot like 10 over, but
he had 2 putts like over 90 feet.
No, he played fantastic. The thing was that day, I think it was 4 under was the best out of the 9, which was by Ricky.
It was playing tough.
And then after that, it was like a couple threes and then 2 unders. And you had a lot of people 3-4 over par. It was really hard. There was like this much water on every hole. And it was really cold. And they got the final card got really lucky because they had perfect conditions. Other people were playing in just horrendous conditions. I mean,
really torrential too, right?
Torrential downpour and sideways wind, and it was cold.
Yeah, that final day did not look fun to play in. But we talked about it, they did only play 9 holes that final round. So this has been a topic that's been buzzing around. The idea that FPO and MPO shouldn't be sharing courses because the fans lost out on seeing MPO due to the FPO taking up the morning slot. They're also saying that the tour should just cut at the cash line going into the final day to help avoid these problems. What's your take on it? Obviously, we can't control the weather. I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour does the best they can at keeping players safe and not putting players out in dangerous weather. I'll give them that. But what's your take on it? What should this look like in the future?
I think it's a no-brainer, honestly. I think having 2 courses at the tournaments, well, we've seen this before. Let's say the majors, typically like at Worlds, you have 2 courses. FPO plays one side, MPO plays another one, then you flip. I don't know why we play the same course every time. And if we had 2 courses,
well,
I'm not saying
I know why.
Yeah, I know. I know
it's
too.
hard to find.
Of course. Now, if we lived in a perfect world,
yes,
FPO plays a course that's sweet and awesome and perfect. MPO plays a course that's sweet and awesome and perfect, and they play in the morning and we play in the evening, or however you want to do it.
Sure.
That's a perfect world. Are they taking away? In this case, absolutely. They took that morning slot. They only got 9 holes to watch. Potentially, they finish, MPO doesn't finish because they get the morning slot. That fixes everything having 2 courses. So when people are like, why don't they have 2 courses? That's a good question. Well, it's probably because setting up a whole entire pro tour
more money
with the advertising and the spectators and the ropes, and then getting the camera crew over there with the boxes for them to sit on and the live cameras and all that stuff, you're not going to get as good of a product. And so you just can't do it.
And the tournaments that we do have 2 courses on, right? They normally contrast each other well, you know? So to find that, I think a lot of times what would end up happening, Yuli, is like the MPO course would be great and the FPO course would suck. It'd be tough to find a good FPO and good MPO close together. So I get it. I think there are different things that the Disc Golf Pro Tour could do to help avoid this from happening in the future. And hopefully after this, having to cut it to 9, having to see the fans outcry for not wanting to see this in the future. I don't think the answer is pushing it to Monday. I don't think that's the answer, because
I don't either.
Monday might be terrible weather as well. And then what? You push it to Tuesday, right? That's not a good solution. Also, that's going to cost a lot more money. Also, that's going to cut in the time that they might have to travel to be able to set up the next event. Pushing it to Monday doesn't make sense unless it maybe is a major. I think that would be my only exception, is maybe a major. We shouldn't try to squeeze it in or whatever. But there are a bunch of other things you can do before pushing it to Monday. A couple things. The easiest one, and what everyone's been talking about, just establish a cut line from the get-go. People that are 30 over par, okay, their feelings might be hurt that they're only playing 2 rounds and not 3. I don't care. Get them out of here. Especially on the FPO side, there's a lot of people that are playing, 20 over par in a round. That's slowing down everyone on the course. Get them out of here. Cut line for FPO, cut line for MPO. Let's get it to like 70 people are playing that final round, right? 70 people, 75, maybe something like that. So maybe it's 25 FPO and then, 50 MPO, and that's it, right? So now you got 75 people. What else can you do? Well, instead of having FPO start on hole 1, and let's say their first tee time's at 7, and their next tee time's at 7:10, then 7:20, then 7:30, 7:40, 7:50, 8 o'clock. And now you just took a full hour to get all the FPO on the field. And after an hour of play, you now have still more than half the course has no one on it. That's where you look and say, okay, you guys are going to tee off on hole 1. You guys are going to tee off on hole 10 at 7 o'clock. You guys are going to tee off at hole 1 at 7:10. You guys are going to tee off on hole 10 at 7:10. And you set it up to where now the whole course fills in half the time. So now you don't have those hour and a half of no one playing on holes. You fill the course way quicker.
We've done that before, way back in the day, in national tours and stuff.
It's not great, obviously, and it sucks for the people that have.
You save time.
but it saves time. It shrinks the amount of time it takes to get everyone out. And then the last thing, which I think is very interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Have we ever decided what's the fastest way of having, let's just say, 75 people play disc golf? What is the fastest way to have 75 people play 18 holes in disc golf? And what I mean by that, and my question is it in twosomes? Is it in threesomes? Is it in foursomes? Is it in fivesomes? Is it in sixsomes? And let me just give you an example. What would be faster, Yuli, for these groups to play 18 holes, right? Let's say the same course. The course is wide open. No one's in front of them. You have one group of 3 people playing. Or sorry, not one group. You have 4 groups of 3. So the first group tees off. Then they have to wait 10 minutes. The next group tees off, wait 10 minutes. Next group tees off, wait 10 minutes, right? Now they're all on the course. Time stops when the last group finishes. There's 12 people. Or is it 3 groups of 4? One group, next group, next group. They tee off 10 minutes faster, but they have one more person in each group. Or is it like 2 groups of 6? They tee off, they're out. They're only waiting 10 minutes. There's only one 10-minute gap, and they're out. Are those 12 people finishing 18 holes? We don't know. As far as I know, I don't know what group finishes first. And I think that's a problem, right? Like, I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour should know the fastest way to get people through the course. Like, golf knows 3, right?
I do know this. I've been behind a threesome a few times in my career, being the second tee time out. I never saw them. They were gone.
So maybe
a threesome is so much faster than a foursome. It's ridiculous.
So then maybe that is the secret is, okay, we're going to have way more tee times, but the average round to finish with a threesome is an hour faster. And so those more tee times, we do the math, we actually get everyone through the course faster in threesomes with more tee times than foursomes with less tee times.
Yeah, maybe.
Like those are just math things that should be figured out, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because I think we can all agree we don't want to see 9 holes. We won't want to see Gannon throwing a forehand.
You're also never going to be in control of the weather. The weather's going to do whatever it wants. There's always delays in every single sporting event that's played outside. You just have no clue. So I don't care if they're twosomes. Sometimes the weather just doesn't let up.
Yeah. All right. A new favorite segment from the people. We're bringing it back, Yuli. King of the Hill. Gary joins us once again. And Gary, last King of the Hill, you had people coming for your throat. So how are you feeling coming into this one?
You know, I feel pretty good about it. We've listened to a lot of the opinions of the people out there, and I disregard them because this is my list. So we're gonna have some
your opinions don't matter.
That's right. Yeah, opinions. You know, I think we saw a lot of good movement in the last event this past weekend. It's definitely changed. We have some people who've risen up, some who've completely fallen off the hill completely. So,
oh boy,
we'll dive into that here, Mike. If you want to bring up the off the hill, so we're gonna start with the Queen of the Hill, FPO side. Emily Weatherman is falling off of the hill.
Oh
you
man,
know, I think. I'm sorry.
I said, oh man, we're having like a highlight on the people that have fallen off the hill. I love it.
Yeah, this could be the thing that spurs them to get back on the hill. So you never know. They could be watching right now. Emily, kick it in high gear. But you know, I think we expected a lot from Emily this year. I know that there was a big sponsorship change, but she's definitely struggling a little bit. I think there are 2 or 3 kind of interchangeable players who could be in the spot, but she just kept losing on the head-to-head with all those players. So I had to drop her off of level 6. So Mike, if you want to pull up level 6 here. One big noticeable ad here is Raven Klein. Even though she had a tough Waco coming in 32nd, she has been top 15 every other event she's played this year. So I think that definitely merits her a spot on this hill, especially with Emily falling off. But everyone else is kind of, you know, they were there before, they're there now. You've got, I think Macy Veladiaz is probably the one who's on the bubble because she's only played 2 events. So it's kind of hard to, how do you have someone with just 2 events on this list, but they are good events. So she also doesn't have any events on the Pro Tour on her schedule coming up yet. So at some point, I can't let 2 events carry you on. You're going to have to probably fall off this list. So she's definitely on the bubble there. But I think all the other 4 here on level 6 kind of have interchangeable seasons for the most part. Some little advantages here or there for each of them, but honestly,
It's
they're all
crazy
kind of
to
in the
see
same place.
Valerie that low.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's warranted. It's warranted. But it is just crazy how far she's kind of fallen off a little bit here over the last couple of years.
Yeah, she's
pretty much never really bounced back from that injury, right? Did she ever have?
Didn't she win right after?
Did she?
I think she did.
Was it Waco? Was that
Maybe
the year she
it
won?
was? It was one of the year right after
that-
her injury. She won.
But that was after her injury, or was that before her injury?
I think it was right after.
Huh?
I don't know.
Did she win last year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. One thing that definitely is going in her favor, I think she's the strongest of the 4 here because of the 4 who aren't Raven or Macy. That's because her finishes this year are 22nd, 25th, 13th, and 7th. So there's definitely some improvement happening. I could see her coming out with another top 10 and making a very good case for herself to move up to level 5. So
Gotcha.
she's definitely someone we're watching there. But moving on to level 5, one noticeable name you're going to see is Rebecca Cox falling down to level 5. And she started the season off really strong with 3 top 10s. But then she got 28th at Music City and 13th this past weekend. While I'm not going to say that really is a massive drop off for her, I think she's still playing incredibly well. There are I think another player who bumped her out that deserves that spot on the next level above. But other than that, you've got the solid players between Hannah, Jessica Weiss, and Katrina, who all have 2 top 10 finishes each and kind of all belong here. And Paige is on here. She hasn't cracked the top 10 yet this season, but she's getting really close, like 11th, 15th. She's right there.
She needs Bonnaroo.
Yeah, she's Bonnaroo. She's a little more consistent than some of the other players here in this grouping, but still has not cracked that top 10 spot. So that's why I can't move her up, but I didn't feel like moving her down was really justified either. But going up to level 4, this is where it starts to get a little crazy, and this could be a controversial layer for a lot of people. Haley King is the one who I moved up into Rebecca Cox's spot. And that's because even though we've only seen 2 events from her, those 2 events have been pretty solid coming out this season with 2 10th place finishes. So I think I want to see another event to know whether or not she'll retain this spot on level 4. And if, her and Rebecca maybe get into a back and forth here. So that's why I've got Haley King up there. Missy Gannon, she showed us that she's definitely ready to, she's still the competitor we've always known her to be with 2 top 5s in a row now. But I just can't, when you look at everyone above her, when you put the matchups against each other, you look at the stats, I just can't put her above the people who are currently on level 3. And she also struggles in the fight a little bit against some of the people on her own level. Like when you talk about Cadence, who we just,
how close is she to that 3rd level?
Incredible interview, by the way. So extremely well spoken. Cadence honestly was one of the hardest ones for me to keep on level 4, because when you look at her finishes, it's 10th, 38th, 5th, and 2nd, and that's a really strong start to the season. And I kind of have in my notes here that I just want to see her in a major situation. I want to see that one more event for her to come out, and I think she is poised to move up. And there's definitely some competition above her because you start to get into that more consistent level with people who have who don't have any high finishes, because Cadence still technically does have that 38th at the Open at Austin, but not for very long is that going to, I think, go against her. And then you got Kat Murch, who has not finished outside the top 10 all season long, but I think we're just all expecting a little bit more from her this year. She kind of reminds me of like a 2024 Matty O, the person who's always on the dance floor, but never is the dancing queen. Yeah. So that's kind of why I have her there on level 4. So moving to level 3, I did it. I know we heard a lot of points about why Silva didn't belong on level 2. She took the week off. I dropped her to level 3. If she comes back this weekend and she wins the Champions Cup, she's going to go right back up to level 2. So you're going to have to deal with that. But I think given her season, she definitely belongs on level 3, along with Own and Evelina. And those were the two I really had a hard time with where Cadence lied, because Own and Evelina have put together really solid seasons. Like when you do the head-to-head matchups compared to Cadence and you look at the stats, I had a hard time figuring out where I want to put them at. And I think right now, if I was like going into certain events, would you put your money on like a more consistent Own, or would you put your money on Cadence? And it's like, I think I'd have to lean a little bit in Own's direction right now than Cadence's until I see her on the big stage. But yeah, it's levels 3 and 4 are hard. I mean, you could probably put all these players into a cup, shake it up, pour them out, and get a different result you'd be happy with every time. Going up to level 2, you'll see that I've got Ella Hansen there. I think with her podium finish this weekend, she definitely deserves to move up to that level 2 spot. Just her overall consistency this year has been, fantastic. But you can go ahead and show level 1, because it's no surprise that I've got Kristen up in level 1. And there's a few reasons why. I think a lot of people are kind of having that argument right now of like, well, Holland's not missed a podium and she just got to win this weekend. And I don't want to diminish Holland's victory, because I think it was an incredible victory. She played really, really solid disc golf. She had her moments like you guys talked about a little bit ago. But if you compare the two of them together, Kristen and Holland, right now, because remember, these are not based on where I think they're going to end up at the end of the season. These are like right now gut check reactions. And Kristen leads every single stat in the world except for C1X putting, where she's 6th, C2 putting, where she's 7th, and OB rate, where she's 6th. And out of all the stats, Holland only beats her in C1X putting and OB rate, and just by a very, very small margin. So if you're a stats person, Kristen has that matchup. If you're a head-to-head based on their performance this year so far, Kristen technically has that matchup. So to me, then you also have to bring the eye test into play. And that's where it comes down to some of the things that you guys mentioned, where I think Holland, just, you can see that she's got that little bit left of growing to do from like a mental perspective. I think the eye test tips in Kristen's favor. And so I'll finish off my rant about the Queen of the Hill here by saying that I think that the top of this hill can really shake up after Champions Cup. If Holland comes out and she takes the win, there's going to be a lot of arguments to be made why she could be up there at the very top of this list right now. But I think Yuli's point earlier, I think that was really, really perceptive to say that Holland has room to grow yet, which is incredible to think about. And I think that the space she has between where she's at now and what her ceiling is, there's more room there than what Kristen has to her ceiling. Because I think Kristen is reaching the peak of what her skill level is, which is incredible and still, in my opinion, top of the world. But Holland has, who knows? She's, like you said, she's going to be the best in the world before too long. So,
Yuli, how many people on this hill do you think could win Champions Cup? You don't have to say names, just how many?
8.
I have 6. I think 6.
I think I'm at 7.
I think 6 could win it.
I mean, I can say them. I'm not afraid to say them. It's Kristen, Holland, Ella, Own, Saarinen, Evelina, Missy, Cat Merch, and Paige Pierce.
So I don't have Paige or Cat Merch or Ella or Own.
So you have 3.
No, I have. So I think my 6 was Kristen, Holland, Silva, Evelina, Missy, and Cadence. Those are my 6.
Yeah, I think I'm sitting there in that six
I
category.
The only reason I put Merch in there is because wasn't she playing well at that tournament last year?
Yeah, but
I believe.
What are her finishes in majors? I feel like she won what, Jonesboro, right? Has
I
she?
just feel like she's trending.
I just don't know if I like her game with major pressure down the wire.
Yeah, right now she's not
I don't-
demonstrating it like
I'm not
the
so
finishes.
sure we should be giving anybody props for handling the pressure at majors down to the wire.
Well, I don't think like Missy would collapse. I don't think Kristen would collapse.
We watched Evelina win the world championships collapsing.
Yeah, Kat got second at OTB Open last year.
There you go. That's
I don't think Evelina was collapsing. I think that was just normal Evelina putting. That's just her game.
Yeah, but then why? Yeah, but then why did the rest of the field not take advantage?
Well,
of
because I think it's because the course allowed those courses were so much more emphasis on the throwing, and so many people were like she was just getting so many birdie looks where everyone else was getting half the birdie looks she was getting. So even if she missed half her birdie putts, it didn't really matter.
I mean, the argument that you're telling me that the FPO division, when it's really close, we don't see some crazy mistakes is a wild statement.
No, we do. No, we do.
And that's why I'm saying, so that's how the tournaments are won, period, anyway, until Kristen makes the 40-footer because she's the only one that does it, or Missy down the stretch and puts a hammer on it. Other than that, if it gets
crazy.
close, it gets nuts.
No, I agree.
So
I agree.
That's where
I just don't think some of those people are going to get close. Like I don't think Kat. I think let's just say Kat's like in the league going to the final round. I don't think she's gonna be close enough,
right?
That like with the last.
I hear you.
I think she's already gonna have a flat tire.
I'm not
in the
putting
front
a
nine.
bet on it, but I wouldn't say her percentage of winning would be 0%. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you on that.
That's it. Like it might be 5%, but I could see a scenario knowing disc golf where she could win.
I can't wait to see the lines. I want to see the lines. So they better have Kristen minus. If they don't have Kristen minus, people are going to slam that.
Oh, she might be minus 300 or something.
I think what hurts Kat sometimes is that she is not one to have like a really pop off round. She typically has 3 like solid rounds, so you're not going to see her making a big surge at the end. And one of her issues is that even though she is ranked she's ranked 5th in the world, she's really offset in the fact that her putting is 13th for C1X and 22nd for C2. So she's playing at that 5th in the world level in terms of the points she has right now, but her stats kind of don't back her up kind of when she needs them to. So yeah, if you were asking me who's a lock in for top 10 every single week, it's Kat Merch, but to win, it's tough. But to say her possibility is 0%, I would agree with Yuli that it's at least there. I don't think it's likely.
All right, we got MPO side. This would be juicy.
Oh yes, this was a tough one.
Oh,
so off the hill,
Marweed. He was just on the hill.
He was just on the hill. He saw a cookie below the hill and he went for it. So I gotta say, the level 6 of the hill is so volatile that just it's the smallest little things dropping people on and off. And I think that there's so many good players in terms of that part of the field that there's just so many interchangeable guys. So yep, unfortunately these 3 are falling off. They could very easily find their way back on. But let's go see who's on level 6, who took their spots. So the first thing you're going to notice, and I'm probably going to get a little flack for it because a lot of people love him to death, is Simon Lizotte has made his way to level 6.
6-tier Lizotte?
Yeah. And so,
oh boy.
Listen, Simon on any given weekend can be level 1 all the way down to level 6. I think he might be one of the most volatile finishers on the tour in terms of just what we see out of him. And he started the season super, super well, but then he's had 2 really rough events. And so, like, he's on that teetering point where he could go right back up to level 5. One good event, he pops back up. But right now, I can't put him there based upon the people who are above, who are being a bit more consistent in their play. But the 3 guys I've got moving up here, you got Bradley Williams, who is playing consistent for his level right now. He's averaging 23rd with 3 top 15 finishes. And then Joey Buckets is finding a rhythm here recently with 2 top 10 finishes. I think making me feel good about having him here. My flyer pick is definitely Gavin Rathbun, because if you look at his season so far, you're going to say, Gary, why is he on this list? Because there's a lot of really, really low finishes there.
He's got a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that I'm judging everything based off of one weekend, but if you look at the skill levels of everyone around him and the people who are below him on this list, I think that we really see someone who has extremely high. I think his ceiling is a level 4 ceiling, but he's playing right now like someone who is just trying to barely scratch his way on level 6. He had an incredible weekend out at the Masters Invitational Eagles Crossing. I know that's not a Pro Tour event, but to have a really great weekend there and then follow it up with an incredible weekend this past weekend, I think is indicative of a player who's maybe starting to warm up a little bit. And going into the Champions Cup this weekend, we know that Gavin had a lot of success last year at the OTB Open. He typically tends to play the course well. So that is a bit of a personal pick for me, putting him on level 6 there. And then Matty O, same deal. Just, he's kind of being Matty O. Paul Kranz has been very consistent, and I think is awesome to see him playing as well as he is. But moving up to level 5, we dropped Evan Smith, and he's only bumped off because even though he I think belongs on level 4, he's just a bit weaker in performance than the people who are going to be on level 4. Another big moving up is Ezra. I think Ezra was my flip-flop with Simon because he's a little bit more consistent, has a little bit better finishes on average, and he has some tough rounds, but he's a C2 menace right now. It's just fun to watch. Anytime he's outside circle 1, I really, really enjoy watching him putt. I think they were even saying on coverage that he could be one of the best, if not the best, step putter currently in disc golf. So that's an interesting thing. I think he was number 1 in C2. He's back to, I think, number 3 in C2 right now. But and then I've got Sullivan Tipton, who, if you look at his season, I think he absolutely belongs in tier 5. He's gone 26th, 7th, 20th, and 11th. He's putting together some really solid finishes and just being very, very consistent. Moving up to level 4, you're going to see that we dropped Ezra down, and he's now meeting his rising up brother Isaac on the same level. I think that's because Isaac's starting to show us that consistency that we're really used to. Over the last several events, he's given us the performances that we typically know from him, with a 5th and a 6th, 10th before that one. So he's kind of coming up. But while Ezra does have a win on the season, his finishes are a lot more volatile in terms of how they bounce around. You got 1st, 19th, 4th, 8th, 24th. So I think he has all the skills here, and there's going to be an argument to be made for a lot of these guys to be on level 3. It's just that there's more consistency the higher up you go, and that's one of the main reasons that you see AB on this level, is that I think he's having, and Ricky, of course, I think they're having a hard time finding their consistency right now. AB is struggles in the rain a little bit. I think we figured that out. The last 2 events were kind of tough for him. So that's kind of why he's here. He is one of those guys that is every single weekend able to give you level 1 play. But right now finds himself on level 4. Ricky is doing the bouncy ball season of.
That's great. There's so many good players on level 4 right now.
I know.
all four of those guys are so good.
Yeah.
I know. Ricky's finishes are 4th, 38th, 7th, 24th, and 2nd. So it just keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down. If he gives us a really good finish at Champions Cup, he has an argument to maybe make it up to tier 3. But let's go to level 3 here. And you've
Kyle
got
Klein.
Yep, got Kyle Klein, who's rising up to level 3. He has a lower finish at Waco in 17th place, but otherwise he's 6th, 2nd, and 5th. He's been really consistent. If he gets a little bit of that putting consistency down, I have him on my potential win radar this year. He's got to get a win this year. I think he's got everything going well for him. Calvin is just kind of always where Calvin is. He's always in the conversation in some way, shape, or form. And I will address the elephant in the room, which is Adam Hammis is finishing 83rd this weekend. I think everyone gets an outlier. Maybe he had some bad chicken. Maybe he ate the same thing Gannon ate, but Gannon dealt with it better. I think the rest of Adam's season has been great, especially with the win he got. I'm putting him on bubble watch because he if he doesn't have a good finish at Champs Cup, and
He's
I
falling
think
down.
that's been the thing for Adam, is that we've seen him go on stretches in seasons where he has really great play, but then that play doesn't then continue for the rest of the year, or he'll drop off for a little bit, then come back in and play well again. So I think everyone wants to see him. I want to see him keep that level of play he's had for the first 4 events and just kind of leave last weekend behind and do what you got to do. He hasn't posted about it yet, so someone should make sure he's okay. But yes, Adam Hammes is on level 3. Moving up to level 2, I did it. Niklas is falling to level 2, taking the break. I'll be very interested to see what happens when he comes back. And then Macbeth, I think he continues to be the player right now who's running 99% of the race and gets the cramp in the last 100 meters. But he definitely belongs in level 2 based upon his finishes so far. And then obviously level 1, with his win, Gannon takes the top spot based upon the rest of his play, the stats, the eye test, everything. But the question that I have is how well of a fit if Niklas comes back and he is really, really solid at Champs Cup and beats Gannon, does Niklas hop back up with having the win, the more wins under his belt than Gannon? Is that enough, do you think?
I think it's ridiculous that Gannon's on top as it is. I mean, the guy Niklas won back-to-back time. Gannon comes in and swoops the top spot because he's not there. Listen, you go down the list, you got some personality issues going on here. You have like conflicts all the way down the board. I mean, you kick Marweed off for a bad finish, and Adam Hammes is still chilling on the third block. You give Gavin the up because he goes to Eagles Crossing, yet Anthony Barella won the tournament against Gannon, and he doesn't get the bump up. I think Adam flops down. You got to put Barella up there.
I don't know. See,
then the Niklas Gannon thing, I mean, that's just ridiculous. It is. You got a guy who wins back-to-back for the first time in I don't know how long since Gannon did it. Gannon wins one tournament, doesn't even get to play the whole entire tournament, and you pop him up there like he's king of that.
The Marweed point, Hammes finished one really bad event, but Marweed had 59th, 34th, and a 63rd. So I think it was easier to argue that he was falling out. But I see your point about the AB situation. I want to put him up higher. Just the rest of Hammes's finishes I think are better. But
is it possible for someone to fall? Like what would someone have to do to fall to, like more than a spot? So like down a couple tiers, and then what would be to move up multiple tiers? Is like what would someone have to do to move multiple tiers?
I think it depends. I think it's that middle part of the hill that you have the biggest chance of moving up or down multiple. Probably moving up multiple is a bit easier because the guys at the bottom, I think if anything, they're only going to fall off. They're not really going to like move up a whole bunch. Simon might be one of the only guys who could move up a bunch. Like if he got a win, let's say he wins Champs Cup, if he's playing Champs Cup, that could surge him up to level 4 maybe, but not probably higher than that. If you have someone like, let's say AB gets a win, and let's say that
he did. He just won Eagles Crossing against Gannon. Gannon.
Yeah.
The reason that Gavin's up here chilling.
That wasn't raining at Eagles Crossing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, it's super windy though. It was super windy though.
The best course that we got had your best player there.
It wasn't a full tournament though, Yuli.
Neither was this one.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
This was 9 holes more.
That's a fair point.
No, I think doing this for the MPO was so hard because there's just so many different places you could fit there. There's only a few people who I think are like, I feel really comfortable locked into where they're at. I think like Macbeth, I feel really comfy with him right where he's at. I don't know that I could move him up or move him down. And then you got guys like, I think Ricky kind of belongs where he's at. I think Kyle Klein's a tough one, but his season tends to argue that he should be right there. I don't know that we're going to have people moving up and down massive amounts or 2 levels at once. We'll see. We'll see. The Champions Cup will tell a lot of stories.
Well, the thing is, Gary, is the King of the Hill is going to stay this way for at least one more week, whether Yuli likes it or not. And then after Champions Cup, you'll come back and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, how many people
Niklas
on here
could just win, then take a week off? Gannon wins again, just flop him back up there every single week. He has like 8 wins in a row. No.
How many people here do you guys have that could win? I'm gonna do mine. I got a big number, boys. I'm double digits. I'm 11.
I think I'm at 11 too.
I got 11 that can win. Mike's got 12.
I get 12.
Jeez.
I'm at 10. Call me the pessimist, but I'm at 10.
All right, here's my 11. Gannon, Niklas, Paul, Adam, Kyle, Calvin, AB, Ezra, Ricky, Isaac. So that's literally, what is that? That's
top 4 tiers.
3, 6. That's 10. And then my only other one of these others. Oh, wait, I have 12. Yeah. Wait, do I have 12? Yeah, I think all those guys. Oh, wait, sorry. I don't think Adam can win. Sorry. Take that out. I'm 9 of the top 10. I'm taking out Adam. I don't think Adam will win. And then give me Dickerson and give me Simon. That's my 11.
I got Gannon, Niklas, Paul, Klein, Calvin, Ricky. Well, that whole entire slot right there.
You're everyone but Adam as well for the top 4.
Right now, yeah, it's tough for me to say you can win after an 80 whatever place, but then the second tier, Dickerson for sure. I'm going to go out on a flyer and say Austin can win.
Wow,
I think Austin could win from like the second card or something like that, just because of the power that he has and how good he throws it. I could see him sneaking on the second card and then just absolutely parking every hole, and maybe the conditions get worse or something. But I would say he has a percentage of winning for sure.
That would be a wild win.
And then I got Lazat, and I also have Matty O. I think Matty O, down the stretch of a tournament, like you can't say that his percentage of winning is 0, only because the guy can get really hot. And it's Matty O.
Like a MVP throwback.
If the way I look at this, if I didn't watch coverage, I didn't watch anything, and then they're like, "Oh, who won?" And then somebody was like, "Matty O," it wouldn't blow my mind. I'd be like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy," but it wouldn't blow my mind. You know what I mean? Now, Austin, that would kind of blow my mind, but you need to watch him throw in person right now. And he passes the eye test as far as how he's throwing the disc. Outlier this week, he was in 10th place or 11th place, had to go out there in the torrential downpour, and he has like this thing with his hand to where when it gets cold, he can't grip it. I think he posted a picture of it on social media. It looked wild. But anyways.
Have you ever had a lefty win a major before?
Well, he hasn't won at all. So, but when you think about this course, is it lefty friendly? I might have to take him out of there. I don't think it is.
Are they changing it up? I mean, here's the thing: is like
it's not really that lefty friendly.
Does this feel like Yuli? I didn't think Oats. I love Oats. I love the course. I'm a big fan of it. I'm not thinking of the name of it right now. I'm blanking.
Swenson.
What is it?
Swenson Park.
Swinson. There you go. I thought you said Spencer. I was like, that's not right. Yeah, Swinson Park. I love it. I love the course designer out there. I think it's a great course. It doesn't give me major vibes though. Am I off there? Do you feel like?
I don't think that it does. I mean, it's one of my. I can't say it going into there, but it's not like a place that I just get totally stoked to go. I love the people there. I think the fan base is incredible.
Yeah, the
California comes out every year,
tournaments
and
run
that's
well.
amazing. As far as the course goes, there's nothing really wrong about it. I think they could spice it up and put some bows around it to make it a little more major friendly. Maybe some extra little spots here and there with
It'd be
little
interesting.
pop-ups and stuff. But I think they made it a lot better last year. If I remember right, they did a couple changes and they were great changes, and I liked it better last year than in years prior. But yeah, I mean,
It'll be interesting.
Do you think part of it is because Champions Cup has this affinity with like the idea of a wooded course, so it's harder to attach yourself to the mentality of having Swenson as a major event?
No, because even if they were saying Worlds was coming out there, or if USDGC ends up being more of like the United States Open and it moves around to some of the toughest courses, that they make it even harder. It just, for whatever reason, it doesn't scream major to me when I go out there. But that could all change, like Yuli said. They could dress it up, and it could look really, really nice.
I mean, it's a beautiful park. It has everything that you want. It's just a little wide open. It's a little deep in spots too. When they first came up with the PDGA champion or the Champions Cup, and they were doing the new branding and everything, one of the things, because it was Bushnell sponsored, so I had a little piece and giving some advice and different things. And I said, this needs to be the major that is always in the woods.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to lose that. I think there should, the World Championships can move. European Championships can go all over Europe. The U.S. Championship stays in Rock Hill until we outgrow the course. But there has to be a woods major every single year, because it's so enrooted in disc golf. Everybody loves woods disc golf, and I think it plays a huge part in where we are today, and just for the fan base across the board.
Yeah.
So the fact, when I heard that it moved to California, that was tough. That's not taking away from, what they do over there. I still think it's a great course. I love a lot of the holes, but I don't know. Losing a woodsy World Championship is kind of tough.
Yeah. I like Champions Cup as the wooded major, but here we are. All right, Gary, good job.
Personality disorder from Gary.
We'll have to see what the comments look like this week for you.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is that later this year we might have to put out a vote to the Tour Life audience to have them rank.
That would be
the top
sick.
50 people, and we'll see what kind of mountain all of you put together.
I love that. That would be sweet. Yes.
I don't want your job.
Mountain.
It's a tough little job to have to try
give
to
them the People's Mountain at the end. I love that. All right, Gary, appreciate you, brother.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, Yuli, this week in Pick'em versus Grip Locked.
Yeah. Hand up.
Our strategy may not have been the greatest.
Hand up. It was my fault.
It's okay.
I went on a flyer. I thought if we were gonna just crunch them into the ground. We talked about it. Full disclosure, we talked about it on show, and I said, listen, we could pick Holland, and we could pick Gannon, and we could just coast our way through. My exact words, right? We didn't do that. We're risk takers. That's what I love about us, is our ceiling is really high. You never know what we're going to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, nice job. They finally got us in a week. I mean,
they ended up getting 69 points. We got 47. We are still leading the season by 33.2, but it's obviously a lot closer. They ended up picking both winners with Gannon and Holland. They also picked up a point with Haley and a huge pickup. They did get Cadence before. I think she might be now a staple at the $1 tier. That's for sure.
Yeah, she'll be changing.
Picking her up for 18 points for second place there. And here's the thing, Yuli, we did go 5 for 6. 5 of our picks did finish in the top 10. It's just we weren't getting as much points because we didn't pick any of the winners. But we did get Calvin, Paul, Ella, Kat, and Haley all making the top 10.
They don't pick Cadence there, and then
we're looking okay.
Yeah,
we're looking okay. So hats off to the boys when they do some nice picks. They know a little disc golf over there. And I'm very excited next week. I'm pretty sure Edwin should be hitting us up with new tiers.
I like that. We need a new tier system.
I think players are going to be moving around.
Otherwise, we're just going to blow these guys out of the water. Because then we just bleed them dry through the rest of the season.
They can't make up.
No.
Another storyline that happened: 2025 Disc Golf World Championship landed the Haribo. Am I saying that right? Haribo? What's the European candy? Mike, what do you got? You got the pronunciation on this?
Because you're talking about
Haribo. Is it Haribo? Haribo?
I don't think he's gonna try.
Boy.
But I have no clue.
Right.
But anyways,
they're saying hair. Haribo. Big candy, European candy out there as a sponsor. We don't know to what. They did have like in their Haribo. Oh, okay. Haribo. They did have like it on the band of the basket. It looked really nice. So I don't know if that's just what the sponsorship is.
Candy sponsorship's sick.
I'm all about that. I'm all about it. So I think they're doing a press conference tomorrow.
Okay.
Where they're going to do some more information on all that stuff. So be able to look out for that. All right. We got a couple listener questions here. This one comes from Donald. Thoughts on having a small bag of a few discs versus a ton of discs for tournaments? They also have multiple questions. Will Paige win again? And what is Yuli doing to get back on top of his game? So a little triple question there for you, Yuli. A few discs or a ton of discs?
A ton of discs. Like more than anybody probably. But I have a super, I feel like my game's kind of intricate. Like I just have so many different variations that I throw with different angles, different shot variations. I've been playing for so long that it's just sometimes your imagination takes off and you're just throwing all kinds of different shots.
You have a lot of specific shot discs.
Yeah.
Discs that you're not throwing multiple times. You might not even throw in a full tournament.
Right. I throw a lot of them in a tournament. Brad told me this at the Supreme Flight. He's like, dude, you're not going to throw all these discs. And I'm like, let's make a count at how many of these discs that we throw, because I only have a few backups. It's not like they're full of a bunch of different.
In case you lose one.
In case I lose them. Exactly. And so out of the 42 discs in my bag for that tournament,
42,
I threw 37. So I'm using them. But here's the thing. I have to be kind of locked in. I don't throw it very far. So my distances are all locked in. And then the flights to get to those distances are all kind of locked in, if that makes sense. And it
42 is insane.
Yeah, I know.
But,
so if I had it in a perfect world, I wouldn't carry that many discs. I wish I could do that.
Here's the thing, Donald. Yuli's been playing for a really long time too. So I would say if you are just starting out, probably go with the smaller bag.
Yeah, please.
And then eventually you'll start adding. And if you keep playing as long as Yuli has, then maybe one day you'll have 42 as well.
I suggest everybody should keep at least 7 to 8 Captain's Raptors in their bag.
His next question was, will Paige win again?
Yes, I think so. I think we're getting slim pickings at this point, though. When win again is like years and years and years, and I think within, if we said in the next 3 years, I would say yes, because I mean she just won last year, didn't she? Portland Open. I think she won that tournament. Is that correct? Or was that the year before?
I'm trying to think. Did she win?
Edwin, somebody needs to hook it up here. Was it last year? It was rainy. Yeah, I think it.
I'm trying to envision her.
Not.
I'm trying to envision.
It might have been 2 years ago.
I'm trying to envision her like talking.
That's her last win. I know that. I can look it up.
It's not ringing a bell to me.
Yeah.
2024 Portland Open. You're right.
Okay, so that's very recent.
Yeah, it's not that long from now.
No, it's
I
not
think-
even
I
a
think-
year since her last win. So yes, I would say again.
I would say yes as well, but there is a stipulation. She will have to want to win. I don't think she is going to be able to win by not like committing herself to want to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she needs a spark. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens for sure.
And then what are you up to right now to get back on top of your game? Was the final
Wasn't
question.
doing much, honestly. After Waco, I took a lot of time off. I had all that family stuff, so my mind was completely different places. Played this week, didn't do much, honestly, going into it. Kind of went in with very low expectations, and I played pretty good. Tough course. I didn't play my best. I actually felt like I played pretty bad, but my finish was pretty good. It was 19th, tied for 19th place, which I take at this point. And I used it as a tournament to see, like, I didn't want to focus on a bunch of stuff, having that time off, and then, go in and have a tournament and feel like I had to work really hard. If that makes sense. I wanted to gauge where my game was without like a ton of work, to see if it takes a ton of work or if I could just kind of chill.
Yeah.
You know what, if that makes sense.
No, I got
I was able to chill a little bit and still have a decent finish. But I also saw that I have to make circle 2 putts, and I don't put any time into it at all. And I was having a conversation with this kid this weekend about putting, and I listened to myself talk, and I'm like, that's exactly what I have to do, and I just don't do it, And so I'm putting in a lot of work from C2 right now. Like, I put in a good hour today. My first day back, I'm going to put a good hour in tomorrow. And I think that's the kind of the glue that'll hold me together, because it got me thinking to last year. I had a really nice stretch, and I was making a bunch of circle 2s.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm 12% from circle 2 right now on the tour. That's not very good.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are throwing into circle 2 way too often for you not to be able to grab any shots. So
circle 1's fine. Like, I think every round that I play, I hit about 6 greens typically in regulation. That's not a lot.
no.
But when you putt so good, I'm making at least 5 out of the 6.
Well,
and sometimes
Gary just
6.
said you gained 5.42 strokes on the field in circle 1X putting.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So I'm not losing any strokes there. I'm gaining. But I don't get a lot of looks, and I don't think that can change. Like, I don't think that's something to where I'm like, okay, tee to green, I'm just going to beef up and get in the gym and throw farther. My game's kind of locked in where it's locked in, but I can for sure see myself becoming one of the best circle 2 putters if I wanted to. But it takes a lot of time. You know what I mean? It takes a ton
I
of
know.
time.
Oh, I know.
So, but that is what I'm working on. Going into the major, I want to have a good finish. And in order to do that, I have to make some more circle 2s. It'll make you feel more confident. And a long-winded answer, but hey, I like talking about that stuff.
Do you want to hear where you are on tour in circle 2 putts this year?
I got to be in the bottom 100, man. It's bad. Oh, 100th. 12%. Wow.
And you are second in circle 1X putting.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. Hey, you know what, though? I found practicing that I'd never done before. Because my biggest problem has always been I have a weird, unique little rock that I do with my inside the circle putting. So I get back on my leg, and it's like this rhythm thing that I have, and it really helps me to get my release down. And I've never been able to figure out a way to transfer the same rhythm into a circle 2 putt. If that makes any sense. So I'm just I look like an absolute toddler out there putting from circle 2.
You just gotta get that rockabye baby in your circle 2.
And so I learned this new. It started today, and the results were awesome. So
watch out.
We're gonna fix it. We won't be in 100th anymore. I promise.
This question's pretty easy. Christopher wants to know, is Paul Macbeth a top 3 player right now? I think undoubtedly.
Without a doubt, yeah.
I think it's a pretty easy answer. The only two players that have been playing as consistent as he has, and I would even argue he might be even more consistent than Gannon this year, is Nicholas and Gannon.
Yeah, it might be more consistent than Nicholas, honestly, because he had, I think, a little up and down before he went on the 2 wins in a row.
Yeah,
but the 2 wins, we're in sports in general. Golf is the only one where you can start talking about top 10s and it be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many players and you're playing each other. That's when top 10s are okay.
Yeah.
And anything else, it's all about winning.
Correct.
Winning.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, if you get like a top 10 in like a marathon, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, running, biking, like maybe like motocross or something.
But like a top 10 in bowling. Johnny wants to know, I love watching live coverage, but when a lead is so insurmountable, I tune out. There just isn't enough potential for danger or multi-stroke swings. Can we have forced carries, not just on every hole, but every shot? Long, safe fairways with wide landing zones put me to sleepy time. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Johnny. I think we definitely want to trend in a way where, shots are more punished if they are off, line. Like, I don't think we should be able to be throwing 200 feet left to right with how far the disc is traveling. If you just think about it, a golf ball travels 900 plus feet. And they're having to land a golf ball in a very small fairway, sometimes smaller fairways than disc golf.
And they're not throwing it.
They're also
using a different thing to hit the ball.
So I think sometimes maybe our sport's a little bit too easy in that regard. But to answer your question on like the lead stuff, that's just going to happen. I mean, there's times where you tune on a football game. Heck, one of the things that college football has been struggling with, not this year, but in years past, is the semifinal games leading up to the national championship. Sometimes those are just complete blowouts at halftime. And the game's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this, a blowout. So, I think you're always going to have those big leads, and there's nothing you can do about that. Gannon just played insane, but I agree with you. A tougher course is definitely going to help. As well wants to know, people always talk about things disc golf needs to do to improve and grow. Yet nobody says that about more established sports. What do you think will be the sign that disc golf has made it to the point where we enjoy it and stop talking about things that need change? I don't think Aswell is a sports fan, Yuli. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think Aswell consumes media in any other sport other than disc golf, because every sport I consume media, there's constant criticism about the commentary, about how the league's being run,
the
refs. I mean, it's nonstop. So here's the thing. You're in the sports world, baby. That's what sports fans are going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, go do like crochet or something if you don't want that. Because it's just going to be nonstop. You're always going to see it. Obi wants to know, I have a course design idea that is the future of disc golf, Yuli. Trenches with sand at the bottom. Instead of being OB, you're throwing back to the fairway out of an 8-foot deep hole in a sandy run-up. Equivalent to a fairway bunker in golf. Does my idea suck?
Trying to visualize.
So kind of something I've talked about is like you're, punishing people by going down and them having to throw crazy high. Out of a lip, trying to get it over the lip. And also I like the sand idea. That also kind of sucks to have to throw out of. Like, you get punished.
No, I don't hate it. I like new ideas.
The only other thing I could think of that would make like throwing more challenging is like the moguls, right? So like really water.
You have to throw out of a
and
pool.
Tall grass, but the reason why I hate tall grass is I think that slows down pace of play. I think bugs suck too, but having to try to find your disc in tall grass sucks.
Yeah.
And so like maybe that's the thing is instead of, because we all played out at Preserve where they used to have that waist high grass, it sucked throwing out of that. It was very challenging.
And they made us throw out of that bunker.
And I'm thinking the sand might be better.
I don't mind the sand idea.
The soft sand might be tough. I like that way more than the grass. All right, final question of the night, folks. Quaz wants to know, can we hear Yuli's thoughts on a bag versus a cart?
I think it's pretty brainless, honestly.
Oh.
If I don't understand it, honestly. If you're allowed to use a cart and you're going to the golf course and you get into the cart, or if you're allowed to put it on a push cart instead of carrying your clubs on your bag or on your back the whole entire round, it's an obvious you're going to either take the push cart or you're going to get into the cart. There's levels to it. The fact that anybody would say that you would have any sort of advantage by putting the bag on, unless you're at like De La Viega where you're pulling it up like cliffs and stuff, is an absolutely ridiculous argument. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're putting more.
People hate carts, man. I don't know why it is, but people hate carts.
Hey, some people hate bags. Anybody who's ever used a cart.
I feel like there's more people that hate carts.
I still use a bag here and there, but it's only on like certain courses where it takes a strenuous amount of effort to be lugging your cart around the place, and you're having to go up hills or something.
D-Glow, Timothy says D-Glow.
D-Glow's really tough. But for the most part, like, it's silly to me. What do you think's easier, going on a hike with a backpack full of pans or going on a hike with no backpack?
You're not even adding in another thing. The cart adds a seat. Like you can sit down, which is also a nice little bonus.
Well, nature has our own seat. You can just sit on the ground, but
that's not nearly as comfortable as sitting on a cart.
Why? Because you got to get effort to get up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll never understand the people that are anti-cart versus bag. I don't get it. Golf, no one like looks at you for driving in a golf cart and not walking. It's just it.
Some people have those little remote control ones too that just zip around.
Yeah, I'll never understand it, but I mean, there's a lot of people in the comments. So let's if you're listening to this and you want to come into the comment section after the fact and leave your comments, bag, cart, let us know, because people are very, very opinionated on it. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right, a couple of things with Foundation going on, guys. This Sunday at 7 p.m., me and Kelsey will be doing our first Foundation Whatnot show this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can use our link that Mike, I don't actually know if it's in the description, but I'm going to copy it and post it in chat real quick. And if you can maybe throw it in the description of the video, that would be helpful. You guys can use this link right here. Bang, right? I don't know if that worked. Hold on. I don't know why there wasn't a space after that. Let me see here. Nope. Hold on. Let me put a space. There we go. There we go. All right, there we go. You guys can use that link to get $15 for free on the app. We would love for you to spend that $15 on our show this Sunday night. However, you can spend it with anyone on the app. But we will be running disc golf discs all night on Sunday. And you sign up using that link, you will get $15 to spend however you want. And heck,
awesome.
You might be able to pick up a Frisbee for $15 and boom, we'll ship it to you. No problem. So tune in this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern over on Whatnot with me and Kelsey. We're also going to be doing a bunch of giveaways too. It should be a really fun time. A couple new Foundation stamps have dropped. So I want you guys just to kind of know about that over on foundationdisc.com. We have a Build Your Game Z-Flex Jawbreaker Zone OS in Heat. We have a modern stamp Halo Star Destroyer and Wraith, and a Champion Toro and It. We have a People's Champ Neutron Trail. We have a Heck Yeah Neutron Range Glitch Watt Detour and Hex. So those are all available on foundationdisc.com. Check those out. I have the new Dark Horse. We brought the Brodie Swirls back. New Dark Horse Roaches. So make sure you check those out. You got any new stuff dropping?
You know, actually, I do. Ricky and I
collabed
on the cap wrap.
Heck yeah, I love that.
They're going quick. I think I don't know. I can't see the exact number we sold, but we sold quite a few the first couple nights. But we still have some on the website. So go over and check that out. So collab, Ricky stamp, Paul stamp, and it's the only collab we've ever done and probably ever gonna do for the cap wrap. So
yeah, there you go. Pick up a Ricky Yuli cap wrap right there.
Collector. It's gonna be a collector edition eventually if we never do another collab again.
Also check out, if you haven't, the monthly match that just dropped. Obviously, always good times. Hunter, Trevor over on Foundation Disc Golf YouTube channel. Do we forget anything? Mike, Yuli, you guys got anything else for us? Anyone in the chat want to chime in on anything that we forgot? I feel like we nailed pretty much everything. I feel it was a pretty good show. We're almost at 2:30. Oh boy. Oh. All right. I'm not hearing anything from anyone. So I think that is a wrap. Yuli, thank you as always. Thanks to our guest tonight, Cadence. You know who we should have come on the podcast next week? I think it's time, Yuli.
Who?
Bring him back. Bring him back before the major. The people want Brad.
Ooh, we get Brad on? All right, I got you.
I think we bring in Brad.
Are we ready? Are we ready for Brad right before major? I need him focused.
I think we got to bring Brad on.
Rails, bro. I know it.
Give the people Brad right before major. Get us hyped up, ready to go. I think that'll be a fun time. But thank you guys, everyone that tuned in tonight, listening, everyone that's listening over on Apple, Spotify. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week.